welcome back. Did you guys miss me? Did you guys miss me at all? Don't worry, you can be honest. I missed you guys too. How are you? I'm doing really good. I'm so excited for today. Well, I'm excited for this stream in particular. Oh, you guys are sweet. I saw that some of you were already on the Minecraft server already, or at least in the VC. Oh my god. I'm so excited to officially go on over there at some point. Hello, I'm new. Hi, welcome in. This is my Q&A stream, so you're gonna learn a lot about me today. So, lots of good stuff. I'm very excited. It's morning on our end. Good morning. Good morning, Popo. So good to see you. Everyone say hi to Popo. Popo does a lot of editing for me. Thank you so much. So good to see everybody. Hi. So you must be curious how this is gonna work. Thankfully, it's gonna go really smoothly because I happen to get I have like a fancy new widget kind of thing. I think the proper term is widget. And over there, like I found it and it is integrated so that way all Q&A stuff is like you'll see. It's hard for me to explain in the moment. I'll explain whenever I officially pull it up. Well, I got to hit. Hey, it's early. I'm about all. Oh my god, and I am out of all channels to keep up, so I'm gonna be lurking. Wish you all well. Sounds good to me. Feel free to lurk. I have a whole lurk command and everything. Sounds good to me. Minecraft server launch? Yeah. I'm very happy about it. Again, huge thank you to Chiphead for helping me make sure this server stays up and everything. For anyone who is curious, Minecraft and their infinite wisdom has made it so that way console players are like not as updated for some reason on the Minecraft server, but not to worry. As soon as the bug or whatever it is fixed, then anyone who's on console can play as well. Even still, it is automatically updated and everything, so I'm very excited. Frick Minecraft, yeah. Either way, and good news is, hopefully it won't take that long. So it's not like you guys are gonna have to wait very long. Very excited. Mm-hmm. Let's see, other good stuff I can yap a little bit about. I made some cookies before I left. Well, whenever I left, I made some cookies, and now I'm back. So now I have some really good cookies. It's like the sugar cookies with the ring, like the United States flag on it. So it's very much America raw. So very interesting. Oh god, big message. Here we go. Did you know that the ability to speak French properly can be surgically removed? What? There's no way. That's because removing your uvula removes your ability to properly pronounce the French word R, like in croissant, and oh my god, I can't pronounce that last word. I didn't know that. Someone speak French. Can someone speak French in here, in this chat? And if so, let me remove your uvula, and then I'll find out. I'll find out for myself. I'm not a surgeon, but I can definitely figure it out. Fromage? Fromage? Is that close? Can do? Yeah. Watch it. This is me rubbing my hands together, figuring out that I can do it. Mage? Maj? Fromage? Is that close, Cloudy? Fromage. Oh my god. Yes? Okay, cool. You guys know I can't pronounce things. This is unfair. You guys know I can't pronounce anything. Mage. This is unfair. I should do a whole, like, okay. So I may or may not have a, YouTube short planned where I try my best to pronounce, like, dinosaur names, but it's, like, the scientific pronunciation of all these dinosaur names. So it is, like, the worst pronunciations possible. I need to record that at some point. Either way, just know that I cannot pronounce things for shit. Dino rar. Very much rar. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to officially get things started. I need to turn on my fan though, because it's getting a little warm. Just one moment. Let me go turn on my fan, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I turned on my fan. so now I won't be dying in the heat. It is getting so hot lately, I'm not happy about it. Again, I'm used to being cold and stuff like that. I'm used to rainy, I'm used to cold, and that's what I like. And the fact that I am so used to that, and if I even get like an ounce of heat, I'm sitting there like dying. So, okay. So, uh, ooh, another thing that I can do while we wait, while I get everything set up here. I got some more music in my for anyone who is watching me on Twitch. All of my music is updated, so I have like a bit of a spacey playlist, and then I upgraded a little bit of my normal like background music playlist. So I got some new playlists for you guys to listen to. Hold up, wait a minute. Let me play some. I'll play some music for you guys. There we go. Let me see. Can I make it hold up. I need to put it on repeat and shuffle. Yeah, that's what I wanted. And make it start from the beginning. Here we go. Oh, I need to make it so that way it's actively looking for the playlist. Hold on. Ba 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 ba. Okay. Here we go. Again, some of it is updated. Some of it is stuff that you guys have heard already. In the UK, it's normally cold over here, but this heat wave is currently a pain. We bought a fan, which has arrived yesterday, which is great. Yeah. I live over in the States, and it's been terrible. It is, when I say that it's been, like, so hot, like, I mean it. It's been so freaking hot. I am not happy about it. Again, I am built for, like, cold and rain, because that's what I'm used to. So, the fact that we're getting, like, rain, or just, like, no rain at all, or, like, so much rain that my state is not really used to it, it's kind of insane. We're getting, like, a good mix of both. So, it's kind of random, though, admittedly. Either way, I'm glad that everything is, I think everything is hopefully getting better over at least where I live, so that's good. Bro, it stormed for me mad hard last night. Yeah. The other I mean, you guys heard, last time I was playing Hollow Knight, there was literally, it was literally so loud that it was banging against my window, so I had to, like, I had to, like, mute myself for, like, a couple minutes. And then on the last stream that I did with Eggy, whenever I did Elden Ring, that it was loud as hell. Like, there was a lightning strike or something, and then it triggered the fire alarm, so I had to double check if everything was good. It was insane. I'm like, this is nuts. I thought my weather was supposed to be good. What the fuck? I accidentally unmuted a stream I was lurking on, and I just could not hear anything else. It was loud as shit. Damn. Let's see. Other stuff I can get into. If anyone again is over on the Discord server, the Minecraft server is officially launched, so feel free to play on that over there. Again, I put some rules over there just to get a little bit of a quick drop of the rules. But long story short, just don't be crazy, okay? Just don't go blowing up people's houses or being an asshole, please and thank you. I do not want to ruin everyone's fun or anything. Just don't be an asshole. That's my only request. What are the space songs? Here, I can switch it to my space playlist. Here, I can switch it to the space playlist. Hold up. Here we go. Here, I'm gonna switch it up. There we go. Fun fact. You guys can. I wonder if you guys do exclamation point song. Will it tell you guys what song is playing right now? It should. If I coded it right. Either way, please someone do it. I want to see if it works. If not, then I'll try. Exclamation point song. Damn, it's not working. Wait, is it working? It is working! Yeah, let's go! Perfect. So, if anyone is curious what's playing in the background, you could just do exclamation point song, and it does say, like, what song is playing right now. Just a little delayed? Yeah, just a little bit, because it has to get all of, like, the info and everything. Because the code, how it works, is it finds my YouTube music, and then it sees, like, who like posted it on YouTube because I use YouTube and I have YouTube Premium. I am a YouTube Premium girly. I mean, I will die on this hill. So, in order for it to actually get everything, it has to grab like whoever posted it, the song info, stuff like that. So, quick guys, ask the most important question. Is Aria 5 apples tall? I am not 5 apples tall. I am not 5 apples. Are you guys serious right now? Look, I am not 5 apples tall. What is wrong with you guys? I am not freaking 5 apples tall. Which one of you? Which one of you is saying rumors right now? What the fuck? Either way, I'm super excited for today. And not to worry if there's a question in my Q&A that you guys haven't seen yet, or as I go through all these questions, because believe me, there is a lot. And when I say a lot, there is over 100 questions that I put in this friggin' widget. So you guys are gonna see. My bad, 6 apples. Okay, 5.5. Guys! God damn it, guys! Where is the Q&A? I'm gonna show you. You guys wanna see? I prepared this in advance. I prepared so much. You guys ready? Okay, hold up. I'm gonna explain how this all works. Now, everyone say goodbye to chat. Bye, chat box. Because in order for this to work, I need to say goodbye to chat. And allow me to summon the Q&A. Ta-da! Anyway, fancy widget time. Here it is. So, how this works, as you guys can see, there's over 175 freaking questions in this thing. Yeah, so I wanted to prepare this thing with as many questions as possible. Either way, how it works, you could do exclamation point ask, followed by whatever question you want, and as Hijack has showed off, instead of 175, it just went up to 176. So, there's a whole bunch of questions. Why do you take off your spacesuit? Because I can. Because I wanted to, what if I want to be in my casual fit? What if I want to be casual? This is a Q&A session after all, might as well be a little casual. But not to worry, you guys can flip between the two. You guys want this outfit? Or this one? I love that I could just toggle my outfits by switching whichever one I want. Don't ask any crazy questions, please. Yes! Would you still love us if we're worms? There you go. Oh my god, lots of good stuff. Either way, you can, for anyone who's over on YouTube, YouTube does not work. In order for you to ask questions, it has to be via Twitch. So, if anyone wants to ask any questions, it has to be Twitch only. So, unfortunately, it does not work via YouTube. At least I don't think it does. Either way, it's very weird. Either way, how this works, I have went through as many questions as you guys want, probably would ask me, and some questions that I got just in general whenever I started my content creation journey, which, again, for the record, hasn't been very long. It hasn't even been a full year yet, if you guys can believe it. Either way, I'm going to be doing a lot of yapping, so hopefully you guys don't mind that. So we should be okay. That is definitely Hot Topic 2000s pants for real. Yeah. What if I'm rocking it. And I'm rocking my cargo pants. Seriously, I started with cargo pants, and then I went from, and I can't go back. I love cargo pants so much. Once you go from, not having any cargo pants at all to whenever you put on cargo pants, it's crazy. You got 2K followers, not small. Well, here's the thing, Halloween Never Dies. I started not even a year ago. It hasn't even been a full year yet. I started off in December of last year. Which means it hasn't even been a full year yet, if you can believe that. Isn't that nuts? That we've only technically, it's been less than a year, and here we are. And we are growing so much, and there's so much, good stuff that I plan on doing, and things are just getting started. You guys have showed me so much love and support, so I figured that this Q&A session would be totally worth it. There is questions in here for, example, there's VTuber questions, there's questions just about myself and stuff like that. For example, I tell you guys all the time, I'm a space VTuber, but we're gonna dive a little bit more into why I'm a space VTuber. How did I get here? How come I'm a space VTuber to begin with? You know what I mean? Isn't that nuts? We'll see. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Either way, this is gonna be really fun. I hope you guys are excited, because we're just gonna get started. In order for this to work, I'm pretty sure I just do exclamation point, like start or something like that, or next. So I think I have to do that within like my side in order and throw it in chat. So you guys are gonna see me type a lot in the freaking group chat. So apologies in advance, but because that's how this widget works. But we should be okay. Are you guys ready? I know I'm ready. Here we go. So let's see here. Can we submit more than one question each? You can submit as many questions as you want. As far as like as long as like the question itself isn't like too outlandish or really out there, then I'll answer pretty much any question you guys have for me, and I'll answer as pretty much as many questions as you guys want. Again, as long as they're not like insane. So behave yourselves, chat. Either way, I think we're ready. You guys ready? Let's go. So, how this works. General about me. So all this is just gonna be like general stuff, just like asking questions about me and stuff like that. And kind of an introduction about who I am and stuff like that. Let's get into it. How did you come up with the name ARIA ALTAIR? Ooh, this is a good starting one. So whenever I like got online, right, even when I was super young, I always went by Ari. I think I was like a huge fan of Ariana Grande, so I just kind of stole her name. And whenever I became a VTuber, I officially decided on the space theme and stuff like that. And from there, I officially was like, you know what, let's do Aria, just so that way it's different. I know, very different, very crazy. And with Altair, it is one of the brightest stars in the Aquila constellation. So I figured my last name should be something spacey. So I came up with Aria Altair because I like the alliteration. I like the double A's. And I wanted something that would be simple to like something recognizable, something that would be easy to remember and stuff like that. Just in case if my audience is from all over the place, which kudos for me for being proactive, but you guys are. A lot of you guys are from all over. Like there's people from the United States, like that's admittedly the majority. But I also have plenty of people in Europe. There's like, I think I have a few viewers in Japan and stuff like that. So shout out if you're all the way over there. But either way, there's so many viewers that I have that are admittedly all over the place. And I wanted to make sure that all of the, my name itself was easy to type in and recognize, and you can easily like Google it if you really need to. So that's why I came up with Aria Altair, at least with the two names. But that's how that whole thing came about. Aria John International Altair. I'm all over. I'm all over, baby. But that's at least how my name convention works. Keep things going. Why did you become a VTuber? Good question. So whenever I got into my job, spoiler alert, my job is very STEM related. It is very much a job that doesn't really have a lot of like creative like stuff, you know what I mean? Like if your job is very much in the STEM industry and stuff like that, you don't really get many opportunities to express yourself creatively. And before this, the plan wasn't even supposed to be go into like STEM and go into aerospace and stuff like that. And whenever I did that, right, I realized that there was like no way for me to really like express myself creatively. So I realized that after I like started watching like VTubers, right? I was like, "Oh, this is like a whole new world of like creative people who are like making artwork, playing games, doing music, stuff like that." It was very inspiring. I was like, "Oh, that would be so cool. That would be so cool to do." Cuz I kind of did everything. Like I haven't posted any songs or anything yet, but I would love to do music at some point. I wanted to play more games as well, because I never really played video games until I became a VTuber. Like, before I became a VTuber, I did Skyrim speedrunning and Pokemon Nuzlocke. And that was it. That was all I would do. So I was like, okay, well, I want to play more games at some point, so... And being a VTuber was like an easy excuse to do that. And now you can be assured, I guess that is the proper word, that all of the games that I play is going to be brand new for me. It's going to be a brand new experience. And hopefully that is something cool for you guys as well. since every game that I do is pretty much a new experience, unless it's like Minecraft or something. Otherwise, everything else is very much still new for me, which I think is cool. But that's why I became a VTuber, just to kind of express myself creatively and to do more cool stuff. And I'm so passionate about like the VTubing community and stuff like that. Just the ability to express yourself and to kind of just be who you are, even then again with the anonymity attached to it, still very useful. You know what I mean? It's very nice. It's very nice, and I'm very happy to express myself and do more cool stuff here in the future. How long have you been creating content? So my official like chibi debut was like 1.0 model. I believe was, hold up, I'll have to pull up my YouTube. I believe my official like 1.0 model was December 7th of last year. That was it. That was whenever everything started. It hasn't even been a full year. Isn't that insane? Hasn't even been a full year yet. That's crazy. And whenever I did my 2.0 model, this lovely model you guys are looking at right now, I believe, let's see, I think it was sometime in March. Yeah, it was the 29th of March whenever I officially got started. And with this 2.0 model. Either way, that's when everything started. It hasn't even been like that long since I had my 2.0 model, and we're still here, right? We're doing really good so far. And for the record, another fun fact, I started off with content with like TikTok again whenever I had a YouTube or whenever I made like my YouTube channel and stuff like that. Like I never had TikTok before I became a VTuber. So all this was super new for me. And even then, now, like, TikTok is, like, almost at 3K right now, even though I have no idea what I'm doing over there. Either way, like, that's how long it's been. It hasn't even been a full year yet. And you guys are absolutely showing me so much love and support. So thank you all so much for that. Bam! What was your first stream like? Oh, my first stream? Okay. So, whenever I did my first stream, it was like I kind of look back on it with both fondness and hatred because my first stream was my 1.0 model like debut, right? And whenever I got started, like I had no idea what I was doing. You could tell that with like my mic audio and everything and the quality, it was not great. It was kind of shit, and if I'm being honest, but people still watched and people were still there. So, don't get me wrong, it was definitely like a learning experience of like, oh, here you are getting started as a VTuber. But also like I also dread looking at that video because I'm like, oh, I've grown so much. I gotten better over the I can't even say years, over the few months. Either way, I still am very much still happy that that stream happened because you had to start somewhere. Because everyone starts somewhere. You gotta start at some point. What inspired your space theme? Ooh, this is a good one. So, again, as I yapped to you guys before, I don't really want to reveal exactly what I do when as far as like personal life is concerned. I don't want to dox myself or some shit. But the most that I am willing to tell you guys is that I am in the aerospace industry and I have a ton of experience working with space and anything in that regard. And I'm getting like my bachelor's degree in aerospace science. And that's pretty much the big stuff that I am willing to share, at least as of right now. But even then, the whole point of the whole space theme was because I recognized that there wasn't many VTubers that were like astronauts or space inspired or anything like that. And I was like, we need some more space VTubers. And I was like, oh well, astronaut would be such a cool concept to work with. And I could still like do so many cool things with just like the astronaut theming and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of good stuff that when ideas that I could do with the space theme. So that's at least how the whole like astronaut angle came in. Ah, next question. What's your favorite and least favorite thing about streaming? So favorite thing is that I feel like I'm learning new things pretty much. I would say my favorite thing is I'm pretty much learning what I'm doing like day by day. I'm very much everything that I'm doing is very much a work in progress, even though it's only been a couple months. And I think that's the good part, because you can always be growing and you can always be doing something awesome and learning and improving and stuff like that. And VTubing is admittedly such like a mixed medium of stuff that you can do. And same thing with streaming. You can make anything a stream nowadays. All of like your flesh tubers or like flesh all your fleshies, all of the people that are like stream like normal stuff or like other content, right? Streaming can be anything. Streaming can be music, it could be gaming, it could be like surviving in a gas station for 20 plus hours. Like it could be anything. Even then, like, I think that's my favorite thing. Least favorite thing is whenever scuff happens, because then let's just say I hate scuff, and it gets very confusing. But I learn, because let's face it, all that matters is that you learn, right? Are these in random order, or they're asked? So they are sectioned off. For example, this part is just like a general about me, and you'll see over time. As I answer all these questions, you'll see, like, in the very beginning, I had general about me. You're gonna see coming up, I'm gonna have, like, a STEM-related questions and stuff like that. You'll see. They are all sectioned off, though. Mm-hmm. Next. What do you do outside of content creation? So I kind of already answered this one. So as much as I do not want to reveal too much of about what I do, the most that I am willing to say is that I am in the aerospace industry. I mentioned that I already have I'm literally going to get my aerospace science degree probably near the end of the year or close to it. Either way, and I've been in this space for a very long time. So that's the most that I'm willing to at least admit outside of content creation is concerned. Either way, I can't assure you that I am like I hesitate to say the word space professional or like anything too crazy, but I am a subject matter expert. It would be the proper term for me. So, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Admittedly, both. I feel like I'm more of an ambivert, if anything else, because at least with me, like I can be like that type of person to just be left alone with my computer for multiple hours on end. Probably very similar to you guys, right? And I think also there have been times whenever I would be like in a crowd or something and I can definitely like hold my own. You know what I mean? So I hesitate to say use the word introvert or extrovert because I think I could be both. I could very much be both. So I guess the proper term is ambivert because that's what the proper term for that is. But that would probably be like the closest that I can say. I don't think I lean more introvert or extrovert. I did the Myers-Briggs personality type test or whatever it is, and I got INTJ. Whenever the first part of that 4-letter acronym is introvert versus extrovert. And whenever I did that test, it was literally like 51% introvert, 49% extrovert or whatever. It was literally like a couple off like for each, you know what I mean? So I can definitely be both, you know what I mean? Jax called me a nerd, to which I say, you're literally watching a space VTuber. What's more nerdy? Next. Let's see here. What's something people always assume about you that's wrong? Ooh. What do people always assume about me? I think a big one is that I know what I'm doing. People always assume that I know what I'm doing, when in reality, I have no idea. Whenever I became a VTuber, right? Everyone was very impressed with how well and put together I was, right? Everyone was so impressed with the level of detail and quality that I'm able to provide. And then I tell them that I've only been VTubing for like a couple months. A couple months at best. It hasn't even been a year. And they don't believe that. They're like, there's no way. Everything looks great. Everything looks super polished and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, nah. I hate to break it to you, but I literally been doing this for, thank you, Jax, 9 months. 9 months! Again, hasn't even been a full year yet. So, shout out to everyone who thinks I have everything put together, because I definitely don't. And I learn every day. I think the only difference with me by comparison to most people is that whenever I notice something that needs changed or needs fixing or improvements, I try my best to actively do those improvements and stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things that most VTubers don't really do is watch their VODs, which is such a simple concept, you would think, right? But seriously, like watching your VODs back and seeing how if you're entertaining or like, oh, that joke didn't land and stuff like that. That was like such a simple thing for people to do. And I feel like most people don't do that. But seriously though, I feel like if you like look back on or like do some self-evaluation and stuff like that and look back on all of the stuff that you've done, that's the best way that you can improve. And that's why I think at least people just assume that I've been doing this for a long time when in reality it's only been 9 months. So either way, that's at least the context for that. What's a random fact about yourself? A random fact. Let's see here. I'm confused. Haven't you been streaming longer than 35 minutes? Did your stream crash? No, this is the start. I did a new stream. I streamed at whenever you were there, Diamond Miner. Whenever I did Getting Over It, I took a break, and then I started stream again 35 minutes ago. Either way, another more questions. Random fact about yourself. I would say the most random fact that I would say is what's a good one? What's a good one? Ooh, I used to have a bit of a like kind of like a goth phase in high school. It was more so near like my senior year, and thankfully I think I have let's just say I have improved over the years. And if anyone can imagine like a goth ARIA, like that's what I was. And keep in mind in school, like I was pretty good. Like I was like top 10 in my class and stuff like that. But imagine like this top 10 like, oh, here's the top 10 person, and then you just kind of see like this emo. Either way, like I used to be like super, I don't want to say reserved or anything. I just was very much like doing my own thing. But that's probably like the most like random fact about me. And I think it does like sometimes show a little bit every once in a blue moon. And like I think I yapped to you guys before about like music and stuff like that, because I listen to pretty much anything except for country. I feel like that's pretty much like the only stipulation. And I mean I told you guys before, I will listen to Doom Eternal OST on repeat every single day if I have to. Like either way, I used to be like very goth, admittedly, in high school. So I guess that's kind of a random fact about myself that's kind of interesting. What's something you're surprisingly good at? Let's see. I think I am surprisingly good at let's see. I don't want to say surprisingly good at, since that's an interesting choice of words. I would say like I would say like I'm a very quick learner, and I know that's like a kind of a generic answer, but I feel like whenever I have to learn something new, or if I have to like try something that I never have done before, I like to think that I learn and I assess very like fast by comparison to the average person. And I feel like in terms of like stuff like that, I feel like that's probably something I'm really good at, which is a good thing to be good at, you know what I mean? Because if you're good at, you know, learning over time and stuff like that, and, well, that can be applied to anything. That can be applied to any skill set. I remember whenever I was in high school and I had to learn a whole bunch of, like, I had to take a bunch of foreign language classes. Lots of people were struggling. Meanwhile, I was fine. Like, I was doing pretty good. And when it comes to anything with learning and stuff like that, I was definitely, let's just say, I don't want to say more gifted, quote unquote, than my classmates, but I was definitely, let's just say I was definitely cut different above the rest, at least a little bit. So that's probably the closest thing that I can pretty much say is something I'm good at. Me, I can imagine a 3D part and how it would work very fast. That's also a good one. That's also something good. Because if you're able to visualize something in 3D and also visualize it in a space before you even like do anything, that's also a very good skill set to have. Evening, ma'am. What are we doing? We're doing a Q&A session. I'm answering all of your questions and I am yapping a whole bunch. So if you guys want a whole bunch of yapping, then this is the stream for you. More questions. What's something you're terrible at? Math. Next question. So, I didn't really learn math until, like, I would say, like, again, high school. I would say, like, me being good at things applied to everything except for math. It didn't click until relatively recently that, like, at least I would say high school, quote unquote, for quote unquote recently, right? Was whenever I actually got good at math. And even then, like, I do orbital mechanics and stuff like that. Like, I can do complex math, that's not the problem. Like, if I have to go back and do like simple shit, then I will need a calculator just to make sure, because I don't trust myself. Because I'll be sitting there like, oh, 12 times 14. Don't we all hate math? I would say most people, some people do. I would say most people do, some people don't. Considering I am like in the STEM like field and stuff like that, you would assume that like math came like simple for me, right? But it didn't. Math did not come simple for me. I would say like near the sophomore year of high school was whenever math finally like clicked for me. And I'm like good at like complex like orbital mechanics and shit. But now I can't do all the basic stuff. So bro, simple stuff is the hardest. Yeah. We need high speed math. Yeah. Math on paper I love, but in your head that I hate. Yeah. And even then, like, all of the math that I do is complex math. So going back from like the complex shit to like the basic stuff, I'm sitting there like I don't trust myself because I haven't done it in so long. So isn't that ironic? You're good at all the hard stuff, but in reality, like, you can't do all the simple stuff. Like, isn't that weird? What's your biggest fear? Ooh, I think you guys would be able to answer this one. So, the answer is actually the ocean. So, I am definitely the type of person that is not scared of the like I'm not scared of space or anything. Like if you had to tell me tomorrow that, "Hey Arya, we're sending you up to space and you have less than 24 hours to prepare." I would be like, "Okay, can we go right now or what's the hold up?" On the contrary, if I am told that I am going to like Mariana's Trench or something, I will be absolutely terrified out of my mind because I absolutely am terrified of the ocean. But that being said, I have been in a submarine before, multiple times. But then again, like whenever I was in a submarine, like we were kind of still near like the surface. And I was able to like look at like fancy like coral or like fancy fishies and stuff like that. Like it was never anything like too crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so that was different. But even then, like, if you go, like, deeper in the ocean, you just find more stuff. And every single time that, like, scientists go down in, like, the deepest parts of the ocean, oh my god, like, we're finding out new stuff later. We're finding out new stuff every single time. So that makes it scary. Ooh, I got a good one. What keeps you motivated? Do exclamation point ask, and then I can answer all of like the chat questions near the end. Mm-hmm. Oh geez, astronauts are still scared of the ocean. I am. I don't know if other astronauts are, but I am. I think most astronauts actually do have to train like underwater for a lot of portions just so that way they can stimulate like some training and stuff like that. But I would hate that shit. I would hate that. Even still, I'm very scared of the ocean. So, what's your biggest goal this year? So, I kind of answered this on Twitter, but I made a post of like 5 goals that I have for this year. And one of them was make merch. Let's just say I'm doing that. So, another one was get to 1K on all platforms, and well, I did that before the year's over too. So, I'm doing pretty good. A lot of the goals that I had like are all of my hopes and dreams that I had are being realized and stuff like that. So that's awesome. And I can't thank you all enough for absolutely supporting me and all of my goals and hopes and dreams and all that jazz. Wait, merch? I want merch. Yeah, it's coming soon. I yapped about it before. I have merch. It's coming soon. It's in production phase. Bah, 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 bah. I'm very excited for it. You should grab a life jacket if you're so scared of the ocean. Well, that's the thing. It's not like I live Again, I don't want to dox myself, but it's not like I live like directly next to the ocean. Like, I think I'll be fine, Bobcat, if I am like not next to an ocean or anything. It's not like I'm gonna get hit with a tsunami or something anytime soon. So, but I would say like all the goals that I really had are like being realized. Like everything that I ever wanted, at least for this year, are coming true, which is great. And I think the next goal, I would say, if I had to do any or change my answer, would be to start doing song covers and stuff like that. Because I did say I really wanted to do like songs and covers and stuff like that. I don't know about original music. I don't think I'm that creative enough for original songs, at least not yet. But we'll see. I think that would be like my next big goal would be to do a song cover. So we'll see. You could drown in a pond. You could drown in a toilet. You guys are crazy. Shut up. That I don't know about a toilet, Ralph. That would take that would take either a lot of effort or mean that I am very small. And as we have established, guys, I am not 5 apples tall. So therefore, that would be a little harder. Even still, I would say that would be my final answer, which is just like produce song covers, which in that case would be just like produce music, which I can do. It's in the works. TBD. Okay, next section. Next section, I mean, is more like just like general like VTuber questions of just like why, other than not really like why I became a VTuber. Well, I guess there is some questions that are kind of like that, but there's also questions in here about just like VTuber specific stuff. You'll see what I mean. Here we go. Why did you choose to become a VTuber instead of a facecam streamer? So this is a good one. So whenever I was deciding that, yes, I would love to be a streamer, right? I originally was wanting to be like a YouTuber. I think everyone here can attest to having the desire to be a YouTuber. I think a lot of people here had watched like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye back in like their prime, right? Back in my day, you know what I mean? And I was definitely one of those people. I definitely was very inspired and I was like, "Whoa, Mom, Dad, like I would love to do this. This would be so cool." But then all of my hopes and dreams would be lost. Would be like, "Oh, my parents would be like, "Oh, Aria, like that's not sustainable. Not everyone is going to be able to be like you're that big VTuber someday. Like that's not going to be sustainable and that's not possible." You know what I mean? And so I have abandoned that whole like route whenever I was young, right? Because everyone wanted to be a YouTuber and stuff whenever they were younger. I would say that kind of applies now, right? Like lots of like I would say kids nowadays like want to be content creators. They want to be like freaking influencers and stuff like that. But I feel like whenever people say that, they don't realize all of the stuff that goes into that, right? Like I don't want to say you have to be online 24/7, but you do have to be understand like the social circles and be in the know of like technology and stuff like that. You have to know social media. And even then like with me, one of the big things with me is I still value my anonymity. As much as am willing to like show my hands and stuff like that, cuz I don't think I'm going to get doxxed by like my ring or something, or like showing my hands or anything crazy. I still do value privacy on the internet because I still think that privacy on the internet is still very important. And I feel like a lot of people tend to forget they leave like a digital footprint and stuff like that, and to still protect yourself online and stuff like that. So that was kind of another reason why I went the VTuber route instead of the face cam streamer route, because I would say like face cam streamers do a lot of stupid shit, unfortunately. Not saying that VTubers also don't do stupid shit, but then again, there has been plenty of like IRL streamers who have like gotten like police actions and stuff like that, and now like their face is on like so many like freaking screens for everyone to see, and they're doing like stupid stuff like that. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. I hate how much kid. Oh my god, I can't read. I hate how much kids these days want to be influencers or YouTubers. I wish we can go back to the good old days where most kids wanted to be astronauts or firefighters or cops. Yeah. Like I really wanted to like, yeah, I had that little phase whenever I was growing up where I wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah, I know. But even then, like, I also had like those hypotheticals where if I like became like a YouTuber or something similar to Markiplier or Jacksepticeye when I was super young. So I think everyone can relate to that. I feel like lots of people can relate to that sort of situation. When I was a kid, my mom asked me what I wanted to be, and I said I want to be a dragon. Yeah, go after your dreams. Let's go, be a dragon. Well, I mean, furry artists exist. Get a fursuit. Just kidding. Either way, point I'm trying to make here is I still value privacy on especially online and stuff like that, and I still value stuff like that. Either way, I hope that answers that question. How did you design your model? So, I did not design my model. I actually commissioned somebody to get it done. So the person that did all of my art, like designing and like concept art and stuff like that, is Karen Draws over on VGen. I believe they also have a Twitter and an Instagram and all that jazz, but you can see it over on my card, and you can check out a lot of Karen's work. But Karen did an incredible job with my design and everything. What I can say is whenever I got my design, I made like a little Pinterest board of stuff I wanted and stuff I liked. One thing that I really like about my design is despite being like an astronaut, right? Like despite me having like all of this and all of this stuff, right? I'm still covered head to toe. A lot of like I don't know, I guess like spacey designs I saw over on Pinterest and stuff like had a lot of like skin showing. And obviously, I was like, I wanted something that still looked quote unquote realistic. That's why I'm still like, covered from head to toe, even like this. And even then again, like I have like, I wanted to still be like quote unquote realistic while also still being, cute and stuff like that. And still have like a lot of personality. And I think Karen really came in to uh, kind of match both of those like requests because we got like all the realistic stuff I showed you guys, right? But also like I mean there's a whole bunch of personality like in my boots like I have stickers like who doesn't love that? Like I have a bunch of personality there. And even then like even on my helmet too, like I have a lot of stickers and stuff like that. So there's a good blend of realism mixed in with whimsy, which I think Karen absolutely nailed perfectly. So again, thank Karen for making sure I came here and believing me to existence. So, oh yeah, I swear I've seen you around on YouTube before I came to Twitch. Probably, maybe. Discoverability over on YouTube is way more common, more so than Twitch, because on Twitch the discoverability is kind of shit, admittedly. Discoverability over on Twitch is kind of dog water. That's why I am kind of all over the place. I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You know the drill. Ba 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 ba. All of you is perfection, Aria. Aw, you're too sweet. Stop it. It's just like a simcade game. It has simulator aspects and arcade aspects. Yeah. I wanted to mix both. Mobile has a doom scroll feature. Yeah. And I feel like that's a big reason for why I came in like this, right? You know what I mean? What's the problem with being big and bulky? Nothing at all. I just wanted something that just had a mix of both of my personality and who I am. And then again, like, you know what I mean? I still have a whole bunch of personality despite having all of this. And I looked at like real astronaut suits whenever I was like Googling like references and stuff like that. And that, like you said, like they're very bulky and stuff like that. I wanted to be a little bit more skin tight. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to have a little bit more. I wanted to be have some VTuber aspects, if you know what I mean. And I hope that makes sense. Be sci-fi, yeah. I wanted to lean more into the sci-fi aspect, more wiggle room. Yeah. And again, I'm very happy that I came in like my design is the way that it is. Because I have so much room to explore. If I wanted to go like into multiple different angles, then I can. Then I can go into different like genres or like experiment a little bit. Like you said, more room, more jiggle room. Ba 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 ba. Let's see. Next question, perhaps. There we go. Which part of your design means the most to you? Huh. In my opinion, I would say this is kind of like a random thing, but color choice. I am very much a black, yellow, and purple girly. Like purple is my favorite color. And whenever I got like my first design, like whenever I got all of the coloring came in from Karen, I originally had like this like pink and like teal like color palette. And while I thought that was a pretty palette, I really wanted something that leaned a little bit more me, you know what I mean? And black, purple, pink, and like even like the little blonde bits in my hair. Like I wanted like something that was a little bit closer to like my style, quote unquote. If I had things my way, I would just be black and white, but I don't think you guys would want just a monochrome design. So I got like I got like, all my colors, and I think all my colors speak more to me and my design and my branding and stuff like that. So I hope that makes sense as far as like coloring is concerned. Ah, do you have lore planned? Will your lore ever be expand? Let's see. So I for all the lore that I have, right? I only have my like 40. It's not even like a minute long, I think. It is like a little introduction video where you see like my spaceship, which is the Stellar Delta 5, and that's all you really know. And all you really know is on my card on my website is just that I am an astronaut and I am part engineer and part xenobotanist, which means I work on alien plants. As far as like my lore is concerned, right? As far as like will my lore like ever expand? That's kind of a question for you guys. And I feel like the whole like fun part with being a VTuber is like that like even the viewers like build up the lore alongside you as well, which I think is so cool. I think that is something that I feel like most VTubers like whenever they're like pre-debut VTubers, right? They try their best to think of this whole backstory and this whole lore and stuff like that. Whenever I got started, I just knew that I wanted to be an astronaut, and I knew that I needed a spaceship, and that was it. Everything else came in afterwards. Everything else, as far as for the terms of like lore and stuff like that, was very much secondary to me, because I cared more about like just getting content and starting out as a VTuber more so than the lore, admittedly. So, and even then, Bobcat, probably for the best. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, probably for the best. And even then, like you guys are also having fun with all of the cool stuff I'm producing, right? Like I'm producing merch, I'm doing song covers. There's tons of other stuff to be excited for besides lore. And all of the lore and stuff like that, you guys can build alongside me. You know what I mean? Because as much as it's my lore, it's also admittedly like you guys are a part of my community, which means that you guys also build up the lore as much as I do. You know what I mean? So, astronaut and spaceship are priority. Yeah, like we have all the lore. Like right now, we're in my like bio lab, which has all of my like alien plants and stuff. There's lore. You just have to go looking for it. You know what I mean? What's your favorite thing about being a VTuber? Okay, so this is different from the streamer question. What's my favorite thing about being a VTuber specifically? If I'm being honest, the anonymity. I feel like that's the big part of being a VTuber is the anonymity. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely plenty of VTubers that have shown their face online, whether that be Twitter or whether that be something else. I feel like a lot of people don't really recognize that the anonymity is kind of like one of the big parts of being a VTuber. It's not the only thing about being a VTuber, mind you, but it's definitely like a big pro that I feel like a lot of people like tend to forget about. You know what I mean? Because I still value anonymity very heavily, especially online and especially just like in general, right? So, in my opinion, I feel like that's my favorite thing about being a VTuber is the freaking anonymity. So, I understand that's kind of like a dumb answer, but like it's true. You'd be surprised how many people like don't recognize that the whole point, like one of the big parts of being a VTuber is the anonymity. So, what's the hardest part of being a VTuber? Let's see. I think what I'm gonna say is more of a what's the hardest part of being a streamer, but still applies to being a VTuber, is the numbers. I feel like lots of people very much focus on the numbers game. I don't really look at numbers that much, admittedly. Not because I am ignorant, or don't get me wrong, ignorance is bliss and all, but even then, like, I don't really look at numbers or anything. I just kind of focus more on having fun and doing my own thing. And I feel that the journey is more fun than the destination. And I feel like a lot of VTubers, right? They try their best to do a big and fancy or expensive debut. They recognize that nothing, or like their debut, like nobody either showed up, or like their debut didn't turn out the way they had planned, you know what I mean? And then they stop after like 6 months. I feel like that's very common. Or a lot of VTubers are stuck in pre-debut purgatory, where they say they're working on stuff, or they say they're trying to do so many different things. And I think that's very common. I think they just like that. Unfortunately, like that purgatory and that mindset is very common. That's very actually sad. It is. It is the truth, in my humble opinion. But it's very and it's sad, but it's true. And I feel like that is the hardest part. I feel like once you overcome that obstacle of recognizing that it's not about numbers, just have fun, do your own thing, find a community that works with you, you know what I mean? I would say that's the part that matters. Will it take a while? Yeah. It didn't take me that long to find you guys, you know what I mean? So, and even then, like, there's so many people out there that are just waiting for you, you know what I mean? There's so many viewers that are looking for you as a content creator, that they just want to see you for who you are as a person. And I feel like that matters more. Yeah, the VTubers I found don't ever look at the numbers. They just like hang out. Yeah. And I feel like that's for the best. I feel like a lot of the VTubers that just genuinely just try to have fun and just kind of do their own thing are the ones that are actually winning. I feel like those are the VTubers that are actually killing it and are actually doing all the winning. How long does it take to prepare to stream? Kind of depends. So, in terms of like whenever I like sit on the computer and I press stream, I have a Steam Deck, so I literally have everything within a button press. The only thing I would say takes time, quote unquote, is whenever I make the thumbnail for anyone who's watching on YouTube. Because everyone who's watching on YouTube, right? Or anyone who wants to check out the VOD, like, I make the thumbnails for those. And whenever I make the thumbnails for those, like, they take like 5 minutes. And there have been times when stream starts in 10 minutes and I haven't made a thumbnail yet. So therefore I had to take 5 minutes to quickly go make the freaking thumbnail. So anything would just be like, as far as like streaming is concerned, like sometimes it takes not like 2 minutes to 10 minutes depending on like the stream. If it's like a hand cam stream, then I have to obviously set up a bunch more, obviously, but I would say generally speaking, like I can set up stream in 10 minutes if I need to. Or if I have to like speed run setting up, like I can be ready in a minute. Like if I really have to. Because again, Steam Deck, just press big button. And I have it as like a multi-action, right? So if I press the big button once, then boom, there it is. And then I'm ready to go. You just press big button to launch spaceship? Yeah. I just press one big button and boom, spaceship. Oh, thanks for redeeming Hydrate, Masaki. I didn't even see that. Here, I'll hydrate right now. Thank you. I'll get some water. Perfect. Thank you. Ba ba ba. And then you just land in Twitch and YouTube? Yeah, pretty much. Again, it's like a button. It's literally just like a button press. And even then, everything else is just a couple clicks away, and then I'm live. That's it. What's something viewers don't realize happens behind the scenes? I would say, like, whenever stuff goes wrong, like, I notice it, and then I try my best to actively fix it while talking to you guys, that way you guys don't notice. Like, I tried my, the other day, like, my, I think my VTube studio kind of like crashed halfway through or something, and then I had to like fix it midstream. But I did it in a way so that you guys didn't notice it. It was either during a stinger transition, whenever I like transition between scenes, or like at some other point. I don't remember. Even then, like whenever like tech issues do happen, I do notice them. I just try my best to talk and yap, and so that way you guys don't really focus on that. You focus on more of my voice and stuff like that. I would say like that's something is a big thing that I do at least. Like there's a lot of moving pieces into being a VTuber. Like I have to open up like so many freaking applications just for everything to work, and I have to make sure that everything is working and stuff like that. So whenever stuff does go awry, inevitably, either because of tech limitations and stuff like that, I just try my best to yap or like make you guys like focus on. You can focus on me yapping, and then there you go, problem solved. It's the art of misdirection. You're like, oh my god, from that basketball anime? Yeah. But it's something that I have unfortunately perfected. Like, I would say even like yesterday, like just a couple hours ago, whenever my mic crashed, like I messaged in chat like, "Hey, I'm fixing it. Hold up," and then I fixed it within like less than 5 minutes. So I do try my best to at least make sure not a lot of scuff happens, but scuff is inevitable. Perfection is a lie. Unfortunately, like the stuff does happen, but how you like go from those setbacks is how you know, grow and improve. What is something your VTuber persona lets you express? I would say more so like just again, I kind of yapped about this before, but art kind of. Whenever I got my job, right, I was very much in the STEM field and stuff like that. I didn't really have any other opportunities to express myself creatively. Whenever I became a VTuber, it gave me so many like excuses to do like art more or to do like a lot of like I started sketching more often in my sketchbook more often. And I do like I talk to a whole bunch of people now. Like I talk to so many people, whether it's be for projects or to play games with them and stuff like that. I do so many things that I do now that I never did like not even a year ago. You know what I mean? Whenever I became a VTuber, it literally gave me the opportunity to do more stuff. And I think that's awesome. I think it gave me literally more like wiggle room to do more things. And I feel like that's the whole point to actually express myself creatively and stuff like that. Hmm. What is something you would never do on stream? Uh, okay, not on stream, but like in general, I would never do a face reveal ever. I'm sorry, I know. I would never do a face reveal. I'm sorry. For anyone that was wanting to see ARIA ALTAIR VT's face, apologies in advance, it's not gonna happen. I would say, like, the only exception, quote unquote, would be if I somehow, miraculously, get, like, I don't know, popular or whatever, quote, with huge air quotes, and I'm invited to, like, Off Guy or something, and then I would go in person. And even then, if that were to happen, I would wear a mask or I would make sure like most of myself is like, you know, covered and stuff like that. I would do like the whole like sunglasses and everything. But that's probably something I would never do. I would admittedly never do a face reveal. But even then, like I still would do pretty much anything else. I feel like I that's the only thing I would do. Become big. Let's spread the word of Aria. Yeah. You guys want to see me that badly, then well, you guys know what to do. I don't blame you. A lot of YouTubers in Japan don't do it unless they want to, which is rare. Yeah. And even on like America side, right? Like a lot of them do face reveals and stuff like that. And then they do a lot of like like they actually show off like a lot more about themselves and stuff like that, which again, kudos to them. But I still value my anonymity and privacy and stuff like that. So I swear she'll be a garden gnome. I'm not that small. Come on, I'm not garden gnome small. Even then, like that would be probably the closest thing that I would never do. I would never do a face reveal. Sorry. What is the biggest misconception people have about you? So I kind of already mentioned this one as well. Like most people think I'm way more put together than like people would assume. When in reality, I'm just kind of doing things out on a whim and learning as I go. I feel like another big misconception that since this is VTuber related, right? I feel like the biggest misconception people do, at least for like VTubers. Uh, so for context, I have told very few people, like IRL, that I am a VTuber. And either they would react with, "What's a VTuber?" Or, on the contrary, they would go, "Oh, so you're a big chested anime girl on the internet." And I go, "Not big chested, but mind you, but yeah." I think that lots of people, whenever I tell them that I do like VTuber stuff, they like immediately assume like admittedly like Fansly or something. Cause I feel like a lot of VTubers do Fansly and stuff like that, but I would never do that. So I feel like that's another big misconception as well. And at least in whenever I tell people in real life that I am a VTuber, right? Which is very, very rare. So so valid. If I ever started streaming or VTubing, I would never tell anyone IRL. Yeah, like I told my parents, I told a couple close friends, and then by like legally, I had to tell like my supervisor or like my like I legally had to tell like my job like what I do like outside, just because like if I get any other like source of income and stuff like that, I have to tell them. So I kind of had to tell them that I was a VTuber. So even then, like I only tell a very few amount of people, and again, it's either people I trust or people I have to tell legally. So Fansly, I only met a couple of VTubers that admit to using Fansly. A lot of really big VTubers do a lot of Fansly. There's a lot of them. Not saying that every single VTuber does Fansly, mind you, but there is definitely a tie to that, which or Fansly or OnlyFans or whatever the gist is. And I would never do either of those two things. But I feel like a lot of becoming like, whenever I tell people that I'm a VTuber, their first thought is, "Oh, all of this stuff," right? It's usually the negative stereotypes. And I'm like, "No, I just I'm just a little astronaut and I just do my own thing." Except for probably Cottontail. Yeah. And again, this isn't a diss to anybody who does like spicy stuff, right? This isn't a diss to do any sort of like spicy VTubers that do spicy stuff, right? It's just whenever I tell people that I'm a VTuber, they assume I do spicy stuff. And that is a big misconception. So and I hope that makes sense. If you could collab with anyone, who would it be? That's a good one. I feel like so admittedly, whenever I discovered like VTubers and stuff like that, I only know like all of, like the popular people. Like I only knew of Iron Mouse because I was very much like inspired by her story of going from like zero to hero. Admittedly, going from like nothing to everything. Like Iron Mouse is one of the biggest VTubers out there. In fact, I would argue she is the biggest VTuber. She's not the first one, but Mousy is incredible, and all of the music stuff that she's doing, and she's actually her health and stuff like that is getting better because her community is helping her, like financially, like in medical stuff and stuff like that. She's doing great. She was the top of Twitch for a while, for I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she's doing awesome, and she's doing all sorts of really cool stuff. And I saw the new stuff with Wildcard whenever it's Iron Mouse, Amelie, Rin Penrose, and Doki Bird. Like all of them are now in like a VTuber group and helping, and like they're trying to do some stuff. It looks like I don't know all of the context of everything that they're doing yet, but it looks so cool that they are doing like a collaboration almost, and I don't know if they're all doing music together or they're like gonna teach other people to do music. I don't know the whole game plan with that. Even then, there's a lot of really cool VTubers out there. I only known Cinder as my first VTuber, yeah, and that great segue. The next VTuber that I discovered was Cinder, and Whenever I officially became a VTuber, fun fact, so whenever I was kind of starting out as a VTuber, I raided Cinder once, and she was so sweet and so kind whenever I raided her. And honestly, that was such a cool experience to see, and for her to be like super excited, and it was very cool to see because I still look up to Cinder as a VTuber, even despite all of the crazy stuff that happened with like her situation and stuff like that. I feel like all of the big VTubers that was in that whole situation and stuff like that, we have admittedly learned like I don't know. I feel like that everybody learned something from it, right? And I think the cool thing is that everybody moved on and everybody is trying to be better. At least I would hope, right? And they're still really cool and they're all really awesome. And I'm still very much inspired by a lot of them. So I would say like any of the VTubers that I just mentioned, including Cinder, would be super cool. I don't think it would happen, to be honest with you. But even then, that if I could, that would be my magic answer. Ba, ba, ba. Dream convention to attend. Let's see. Offkai is the biggest VTuber convention, right? It's either Offkai or like another one. Maybe you guys can tell me, but or like educate me. But I'm pretty sure Offkai is at least one of the big ones. I would say either Offkai or any other like VTuber specific convention. That would be so cool if I could attend those. Big problem, at least with me attending conventions and stuff like that, is I am at like a job where if I travel outside the country, then they're gonna be like, "Hey, Aria, like where are you going? Like what are you doing?" and stuff like that. And, like it's like a whole process to not get into the weeds of it. But long story short, like if there's like any like VTuber specific conventions that were specifically like in the United States, then I would totally attend those like and it wouldn't be an issue or anything. But it seems like a lot of the really cool like VTuber conventions are admittedly outside of the US. So, a little bit difficult, but I would still love to go to Offkai. Offkai is the biggest VTuber convention. Thanks, Cyber. Yeah. But I would say that would be the dream convention that I would want to attend at some point. Mostly in Japan, right? Well, Offkai's not. Wait, is Offkai in Japan? I don't think Offkai is in Japan. I think it's located in something else. Either way, there is like a few VTuber like conventions that are specifically that are like either in Europe or they would be in Japan or something else. But Offkai, to my knowledge, is in America, and I think it's over in Cali. Oh yeah, Cloudy just said over in Cali. Yeah, there you go. So there you go, easy. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Maybe if I can go there, I feel like that would be the next convention I would want to go to. But that means you guys would have to meet me there too, because I would love to meet all of you guys in person. But I would still absolutely show up with mask and glasses. But I would still be a-okay with like shaking hands and hugging people and stuff like that. So what would Aria's personal playlist sound like? Again, like IRL Aria, I listen to pretty much everything besides country. In lore, Aria would probably listen to anything like spacey or anything like dreamcore aesthetic. I would say would be the closest, or like spacecore. That would probably be the closest. And but IRL, I listen to like what you said, Ralph, a lot of rock and roll. Like I listen to pretty much anything besides country. So that's a pretty big variety of like songs of like music to enjoy. So let me guess, her favorite Derp Cat song is Lost in Space. Ooh, that is one of my favorites. I followed a lot of Derp Cat whenever like Dream SMP was a big thing. Like I absolutely adored like that Wilbur Soot song. Whenever I think it was called Revived. And even then, like I that's whenever I discovered Derp Cat. And now that Dream SMP is nothing anymore, like everybody else moved on. Now that I think about it, isn't like Wilbur is canceled, right? I don't remember what he did. Either way, I don't know. It's been so long. But I listen to everything. Like, again, except for country. Like, I have so many friends that would look at me, like, we'll get into a car and we'll be like, "Hey, Arya, so what do you listen to?" And I'll be like, "Anything." And they wouldn't believe me. And I would go, "Try me." And then they would play like dubstep or like really heavy, like I wouldn't say like full on screamo, but like full on like metal music, and I would still be there like, "Yeah, let's freaking go." Like, I'll listen to pretty much anything. So then they play country and you're like, "No, exactly." As soon as country comes up, I'm like, "Okay, well, okay, pretty much anything." Do you think you'll ever get a 3D model? One day, one day. I feel like in terms of like 3D model, I would have to have so much space in my room to like, be able to fully like do like full body tracking and stuff like that. And with the level of, excuse me, with the level of quality that I want to do and stuff like that, that would be hella expensive. Like, so much money expensive. So one day, like, I would love to do something like that. Like, I wouldn't even say getting the 3D model is the hard part. I would say getting the freaking camera is more of a problem. Because the good camera that I really want goes upwards to like 11K USD. Like, like, there's no way. There's no way I'm gonna drop 11K for a camera. At least not right now. And oh, like what you said. And if you want a really good tracking, you're looking easily at 10K and more. Exactly. Like, that's not possible for, like, the average person. I admit that I put a lot of money into being a VTuber, but I don't think that it's gonna be, like, possible, at least with, like, that freaking camera. Like, if I ever do, like, another subathon or dono-a-thon, like, way later down the line, right? I would probably do something where it was like a 3D model and that would be like a stretch goal. And I think I did do something like that as a stretch goal for, I don't think I did a 3D model for this subathon or anything. At least I don't think I did. If I did, then I was meaning more so in terms like getting the freaking model, not less of the tracking and stuff. Because let's face it, there's no way getting the freaking like camera and all that is like a whole bunch. Wasn't Saray's tracking suit like 40K or something like that? Exactly. It was something like that. I feel like that would be like, like that just quite simply put, isn't possible. Like, at least for the average person, like there's no way. And whenever, at least hopefully in the future, like maybe 3D VTubing gets waves and like starts gaining traction and the ability to do 3D becomes more common and in turn becomes cheaper to do and to produce. But we're not at that stage yet. We are not there yet. Being a 3D VTuber, at least with that high level of quality, is going to take a lot of money. That I, quite simply put, I already put a lot of VTuber, like, money into my VTuber and stuff like that, and all the stuff that I work on already. So, how about a low poly 3D model? Maybe. I feel like it wouldn't really suit, like, what the aesthetic that I'm going on. But I feel like with all the, I always try my best whenever in terms of quality and stuff like that. I always try my best to go above and beyond with everything that I do. At least try my best to do, well, my best. And if I feel like that I am not producing, like, my best work, or if I'm just producing slop, then, well, I'm not gonna bother doing it. Not saying that low poly 3D models are bad or anything, not at all. I'm more so saying just like, I don't know, I would want to put my resources more so in other cool stuff that I'm working on, you know what I mean? But one day, I would love to be 3D. One day, that would be so cool. I would love to do something like that. And I have, like, the space to do it. The bigger question is, who has the money for it? So... We're gonna have hologram VTubers. We will live in a real world with us. It will be kind of like Detroit Become Human and that all-in-one Tomorrow's animation. Yeah, someday. Someday. But that's in the future. Do what you can. It is what it is. Do the best you can. We'll always love being here anyways. Aw, thank you, Ralph. I always try my best to do my best. I always try to do the best quality work that I can provide. And that's why I try my best to give you guys so much. And I hope it shows. Bah. Okay, next category. STEM, science, space stuff. As the category says, I'm gonna talk about like space stuff and stuff like that. I am a space lady after all, so I have to at least talk about some sort of space stuff. This wouldn't be a proper Q&A if I didn't talk about STEM or anything like spacey. So, here we go. What made you choose aerospace as your field of study? So, honestly, it was kind of like a really random decision. Whenever I officially decided that I was going to be doing like aerospace stuff, right? I had no idea that I was going to actually be doing aerospace as my job because, originally speaking, whenever I got out of high school, the original game plan was to do art. I did community college while in high school. At the same time, as I said before, I'm kind of a sweat when it comes to like schooling and stuff like that. My academics were really good. So I came out of high school with a Associate of Arts degree. The original game plan coming out of high school was to go into art school and go do animation and graphic design. That was going to be what I was going to do. I then did a 2-week summer program where I was at the college that I was going to go to. It was an incredible experience, might I add. It was awesome to be like a college student for 2 weeks and find so many like-minded people and fellow artists and stuff like that. But at that time, I encountered a small problem. Art and art school cost a bunch of money. The art school that I wanted to attend, right? Even with the scholarship that they gave me for doing so well during the summer program, it was going to be $60,000 a year to go to. There is no way. There was no way that was going to be, like, possible for me. I was going to be in debt for the rest of my life. I was like, there's no way. And on top of all of this was around the same time that the writer's strike happened. Whenever that happened, it didn't affect writers. It also impacted artists, graphic designers, anybody who had to deal with like AI, which AI at that time was on the rise. It was like the AI boom or whatever, quote unquote. And at that point in time, I kind of had to like evaluate. I had to go, okay, either I go do art, I be in debt for the rest of my life, and there's a pretty high possibility that this hobby turns into a job, which then turns into something I dread. And I didn't want to dread art. Like, that sucks. Like, I didn't want to do that. That sounds like that would be horrible. And that's why I was like, screw this. 60,000? Yeah. 60,000 a year, by the way. And again, this was, and it doesn't take like a year just to get a bachelor's degree. It mostly takes like, I would say like 2 or 4, depending on how fast you do it. So 60K per year, like that's not gonna happen. I don't know. I wanted to peruse a multimedia arts course, but I went for another course. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened with me. Like, I originally went the whole like art direction, and then I said, screw that noise, I'm gonna go into a different direction. And all of that eventually led me here into doing aerospace stuff. And I love my job. Like, I'm able to do so much like stuff within the space industry and stuff like that. And I can provide my level of expertise. That's so cool. That's freaking awesome. And I think that's awesome. And the fact, I would much rather say like aerospace, I didn't choose aerospace. Aerospace chose me. So I love the fact AI is now dead. I wouldn't say that, Bobcat. So while you're probably referencing a few different things, but I'm going to take a wild swing here at what you're probably guessing. AI music used to be like super big, and now it got like, I think it was like Sora or something, and it actually like died and went, people were like jumping for joy about that. Turns out AI, like that whole like AI music and stuff like that, the reason why it died is because it went to another business. like someone bought it out. You know what I mean? And AI art is still a thing. AI art is still running rampant as of now. Like you don't know how many times I would like look around Twitter and then there's like AI VTubers like pretend using AI artwork and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that stuff I'm not a fan of. AI is still very prominent and it's only getting worse. You just have to know where you're looking for. Zaringa? Zaringa 99. I hope I pronounced that right. Either way, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to my Q&A session. And I'm just kind of yapping about stuff. I mean, honestly, not all of it is bad. Yeah, no, not all of it's bad. I'm more so saying the creative stuff. Like, I am very much against AI in the creative industry, especially in terms of AI artwork or AI writers and stuff like that. That is something that I am very much opposed with. However, AI in terms of like whenever it comes to like I would say like menial stuff, like menial jobs, like whether that be like I don't know like a good example, but like something that humans that like hate doing regardless, right? Like something that is menial in terms of like tasks that could easily be taken by an AI and then that person can go focus on bigger and better things, you know what I mean? I feel like though like that's different. I hesitate to say like coding because there's plenty of coders and stuff like that. Like I know for a fact that like 20, 30 years ago, everyone was saying go be a computer programmer, like go do that. And then later on, I mean nowadays, like all of those jobs are unfortunately being taken over by AI. So now you need to go look at another job, right? Now you have to go think of something else that you have to do that isn't going to be taken over by an AI. So a lot of like that sort of things, like you know what I mean? All of those are very much in terms of stuff that I'm talking about. In my area of work, I'm forced to use AI mostly because of code. Yeah. And like I mentioned before, AI is like, again, coding. That very much is what I'm yapping, what I mean, right? Let's be honest, the next few years, they're going to put a lot of AI power robots in the military going to happen. Nothing will stop it. We'll see. Keep in mind, military also has to deal with a lot of like classified shit and stuff like that. And AI is not particularly great in terms of like security and stuff like that, at least not right now. So in my opinion, that's gonna take a little bit. And once they figure that out, maybe, I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit too early to say. I feel like every time that we try to predict like technology in the future, like we produce like crazy stuff with technology and stuff like that. Like there are so many like technological advancements happening over time. Like we can never really guess what's going on. 5 years ago, like or like I guess 6 years ago, I don't know. Like I would not have guessed that AI artwork would be a thing. I didn't think that an AI would be able to do a creative work. Boy, was I wrong. So LLMs are just glorified Google search and everything code is documented just to make it easier for me to look into stuff like that. That said though, you still have to know what you're doing. That way you could smack the AI to do the job right. Yeah. Otherwise you end up with CEOs thinking they can maintain code. Yeah. Like there's still so much stuff that goes into coding and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of like working pieces and stuff like that. And I feel like whenever like big CEOs like try to apply that sort of mindset into artwork and like animation and stuff like that, like people hate it. People do not want AI artwork and stuff like that. Like I want something made by a human. Like I want creative. The whole point of I would say of artwork is the creativity aspect, which is human in nature. So I don't even remind myself AI was advanced, just focused on back when Alien Isolation released with their 2 AI brains. Yeah, exactly, sure. And this is from someone who's been in the software development industry for 7 years. Yeah. Like, everyone's gonna have different opinions as far as, like, AI and stuff like that. So, we'll see. I mean, in my opinion, AI was never gonna replace humans. People swear it's gonna replace humans. Man, take a look at the Demon Slayer movie. Human art will never be replaced. At least not in this era, as far as we know. Yeah. Because everyone wants human-made stuff. Everyone wants to see human creativity and stuff like that. So that's at least what my viewpoint is, at least for that. But again, that is a long conversation of like AI in the future and stuff like that. But at least in my opinion, I hope that answers the original question of how I even got into aerospace to begin with. But even then, like that's at least like how got here. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna be aerospace. I was gonna be art. And even then, I was gonna be a very poor artist, mind you. But even then, you know what I mean? Oh, how the future changes people. What's the coolest thing you learned in school? Let's see. I would say in terms of like space stuff, I can calculate whenever a satellite moves to go from like different places. Cause I learn orbital mechanics, right? Like I can tell you how a satellite is supposed to move and do like any sort of like cool maneuvers and stuff like that. Usually we call that a delta V whenever a satellite moves or whatever from one point to another or whatever. Um, but there's all sorts of different like maneuvers and stuff like that whenever you are talking about like whenever something moves in space. And I feel like whenever try my best to teach people like all of these complex like science stuff, I try my best to explain it in like simple terms. Delta what? It's called a delta V. So delta and then V. V as in change. Oh, delta V. Yeah. That usually means change in direction or something in science, at least generally speaking. So, and it's very similar whenever we're talking in space, right? Because whenever we're talking in terms of space and stuff like that, like for example, whenever you do like a maneuver and something else, yeah. I heard Delta P, and that's a completely different thing. Yeah, lot scarier one. Yeah, no, not that one. Delta V. V with a V. I thought it was vector. I mean, like, because delta V is the change, because we express that as a triangle. So, but whenever we talk about, like, delta V, that usually means change. So, it usually means, like, change in velocity. That's what the V part is. I thought it was vector. It's velocity. It's change in velocity. So, it's basically it's like a measure of, like, the total speed boost like a spacecraft can get from its fuel, the cost of moving between orbits and stuff like that. Like how does it move? You know what I mean? And usually whenever we talk about stuff like that, we're talking like whatever like crazy maneuvers and stuff like that. One of my favorite maneuvers is called a slingshot maneuver. Is basically whenever you basically use another like planet's gravity and something like that but in order to actually move. So, whenever we're talking about like a slingshot maneuver in space, it's basically just a technique whenever we use some sort of gravity and to like alter the speed and trajectory. Really cool. And it's also called like a gravity assist as well. That's like another technical term. But that's my favorite maneuver because I think that's cool in concept. You rotate around a large body and use its gravity to accelerate yourself. Exactly. Exactly. This is a lot of words I'm too stupid to understand. Everything produces gravity, including things in space. So whenever you move something, if you want to go faster, you can use a planet's gravity to move with the speed and trajectory. I hope that makes sense. But either way, I'd say that would be the coolest thing that I technically learned. But I've learned like so much stuff about space and stuff like that I would feel like we would be here forever. I could teach a whole class on space stuff in general. I can talk about satellites too. I could talk about how like a satellite works and stuff like that, but that would be getting way into the weeds of this. Besides, this is a Q&A. I don't have that long. What is your favorite space-related subject? I would say anything with satellites and stuff like that. I had a fantastic time talking about like satellites and stuff like that, at least at work. And I could talk about like many different like conversations with terms of like either satellites or space stuff or space missions. As Popo said, the tier list. I had a lot of fun talking about NASA missions. There's so many different conversations in space and stuff you can talk about with that you can have a whole bunch of fun with that. there's so many different directions that you can go. Like, I don't know. Like, you could talk about just like how we grown in as a society in terms of like how we advanced in space, going from like nothing, and then the Cold War happened, and then basically like advancing over the years. Like, that's a very cool conversation to have. But I would say that would be one of the big highlights for me, because I like talking about how we have advanced over time in history. So it's very fun to talk about like Cold War era and explain how you go from space, like like doing like very very minimal like minimal design like space probes and stuff like that, or like trying to launch, admittedly just like trying to launch shit in space, to trying to land something in space, or like trying to do a whole bunch of other complex stuff. But I think the history of all that is very cool to see and very cool to talk about. I feel like that would be a fun stream idea. If you guys want me to talk about the history of space, I feel like you guys would absolutely love that stream, and you guys would learn a lot. That would be a cool stream. Are Gundams possible in the future? Like hand cam streams? That would be cool. I wouldn't mind doing that. I would love to do that. That would be so cool. I would love to like build more things with hand. I would love to build more things, like more hand cams. I was originally trying to find like a Lego set that was like space related, but they were all like super freaking expensive, so I couldn't find anything. But I meant actual huge Gundams that go out of space. Yeah, I could build that. I could build that too. The actual mechas. Yeah, I got it. Oh, I thought we were talking about like the little like figures, or not the actual like big mechs. I thought we were talking about something else. Yeah. Big robot in space. Yeah, watch me build it. I'll build it in my backyard. You guys can come along. Come with. Either way, in the future, we'll see. What subject do you struggle the most with? Let me see. Struggle the most with. In terms of like space stuff, like obviously math, but I have to admit orbital mechanics came to me pretty easily, so I can't even technically say math. So at least in terms of like space and stuff like that, I would say something that was a little hard to get around was more of the, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is math too, but more so the physics side of math. Like getting the actual physics and trying your best to actually think in space, right? You also had to deal with the physics for everything and how to see if all of that works in such like a large scale. And since we're dealing with planets most of the time, at least for like math reasons, you're gonna have to deal with like really large bodies, and which means really big numbers, which means also you're gonna have to pull out all the stops in terms of like different like physics like properties and laws and stuff like that, which is kind of complicated whenever you get into the weeds of that. So I would say that is probably what I struggled the most with, at least trying to understand all of these concepts. But the good news is once I like kind of got a hang of it, like I can basically describe like harder concepts into a more digestible way of like understanding something, right? Because whenever you take something as complicated as literally like rocket science or something, if you're able to take something that complicated and explain it to like someone who is not within the space industry, like that is very important. So not gonna lie, I'm decent at math, but that was just me taking a little jab at you, Aria. Hardest subject for me was language. Yeah, like language to me came by like super easily for me. And like I did when I was in high school, I did college Spanish, which basically means instead of taking 2 years worth of like a language, it was just smashed into one. And I took multiple language classes like even later on. So besides like I would say I did Spanish, I think I did Spanish, German, and French. Those were the 3 that I did. And I'm not like proficient in all 3 of them, mind you, but I'm definitely like I can read it. Like if I had to like see it in context, I can probably evaluate what it was saying. Misaki over here trying to test my knowledge right now. Like, I never did any, like, Japanese or, like, Korean or anything like that, and I'm not gonna get into the weeds of any language or anything. I'm not gonna get into the weeds of anything language related, because then we're gonna go down the rabbit hole of, let's see how much knowledge Arya knows. And I only have so much time. I only have so much time. And we have to keep going, because we have so many questions. What is orbital mechanics actually like? So whenever I try my best to explain orbital mechanics, like, I try my best to explain that we are trying to so at least in whenever I did my class with orbital mechanics, right? We kind of had, like I said, like, whenever you try to move, like, for example, how do you move a satellite in space? Like, how does that work? And what is the math that goes behind all of that? But also, like, in orbital mechanics, we also had to deal with how much does, like, a planet weigh and stuff like that, and you had to deal with all the physics and stuff like that. And at least with, like, orbital mechanics specifically, all of the, like, crap that I did was very much like, how do you go from one thing to another, or how do you go from an orbital velocity to something else? You know what I mean? Like, simple. You just click and drag. Why? Funny enough, my reading comprehension was beyond terrible. Turns out being undiagnosed for ADHD for 28 years made me realize why I was so terrible at reading books and all that. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. You would think. Yeah. I feel like I never got tested for anything like that. I wonder what I have, if I do have anything. Either way, a lot of, like, the things that I've done was, like, learning different equations. Like, for example, like, I had to know what, like, the escape velocity, like, freaking like, equation is and shit like that. A lot of stuff as well that I had to deal with was, like, conic sections, which is more so with, like, orbital equations, which is, like, for example, there's one polar orbit formula. Like, there's a lot of formulas as well that go into all this shit as well. But I could go on forever. Orbital mechanics, at least everything that I had to learn, was just, like, admittedly a lot of, like, functions that I had to learn, and a lot of different equations that I just kind of had to memorize and then apply it in a situation. It wasn't that bad, might I add, but it's really hard to explain whenever you try your best to show someone without, like, any, like, visual or anything. I think I do better whenever I have a visual and I try my best to explain it at some point. Man, maybe that should be a stream. Arya tries her best to explain orbital mechanics. Either way, that's at least I hope that helps you, like, dip your toe a little bit into, like, how this stuff actually works, because it's very complicated in terms of, like, everything that goes on and stuff like that. What is space weather? So, space weather specifically, right? Are we talking in terms of, like, the sun? Because the sun stuff is considered solar weather, and that's what's its own freaking thing. But even then, like, space weather in particular, space weather, at least as far as, like, whenever we try our best to, like, explain it, is basically anything from the changing environment from the sun to the earth, which is, again, a lot of solar weather stuff. But a lot of stuff in space can just be just, like, I don't know. It could be anything from geomagnetic storms, which is basically just distortions in the Earth's magnetic field that can cause auroras. I know a lot of people in, like, a good example of this was relatively recently. A geomagnetic storm was strong enough that most people were able to see it with their cameras. And if you, like, take a picture, then the whole sky would be pink and stuff like that. If you, like, crank up the exposure and stuff like that. Like, that was a geomagnetic storm. But stuff like that is an example for, like, any sort of, like, space weather and stuff like that. Generally speaking, it's stuff from the sun. And even then, it could be stuff like solar wind, which is basically, like, charged particles or plasma, like, flowing from the sun, which can cause, like, a lot of stuff to, like, electronics and stuff like that, and satellites and power grids and stuff like that. Whenever we track, like, space weather stuff, right? It's usually whenever usually speaking, we try our best to, like, look of what's going on in space, and we use NOAA, which is NOAA, It's the Space Weather Prediction Center, and they try their best to like let people know that hey, like this sort of like space weather event is happening. No, whenever everyone's power grids go out, don't freak out. It's space going nuts. Thankfully, like a lot of the like corona mass ejections and stuff like that, like or like geomagnetic storms, at least a lot of those haven't been strong enough to like take out like a whole like fleet of satellites or anything. um but if one was strong enough to do that, then we would be screwed, because a lot of like daily life revolves around how satellites work and stuff like that. Like I yapped to you guys about GPS before. We would be so screwed if GPS was gone. We would be so screwed. But I hope that is a like again a basic enough answer that at least explains a little bit of how like that works. What is the coolest satellite? Well, I kind of mentioned it. In my opinion, one of the coolest constellations of like, satellites is GPS. Just because, like, I feel like lots of people know that GPS exists, but they don't realize that GPS is tied to a lot of different things. So, for GPS, right? GPS is a lot of different things. GPS, or if anyone is confused, like Google Maps, right? Navigation. If we didn't have any sort of like GPS or navigation or anything, then well, good luck going from place to place. You're gonna have to navigate using a compass or using the stars like in ye olden times. GPS also revolves around positioning as well. So if you want some precise locations and stuff like that, then that's how you do that. And in terms of like GPS in general, there's a whole bunch of how GPS works in the background of how it applies to you. For example, I'm sure everyone here has a bank account. Spoiler alert, GPS still uses that. GPS has a tie into timing, which timing is very important. If GPS was gone, there's no timing. And if there's no timing, then there is no like bank, whenever there's like a bank transaction or anything, there is no like timestamp attached to it. Banks won't be able to track like money or timing or anything like that. They wouldn't be able to do that. Do you know how hard that would be? There would be like no money whatsoever. Like that would be so hard. But GPS is in so many different aspects in life and stuff like that. So in my opinion, that is the coolest satellite constellation. Hi, Double A, Miss Battery. Oh, hi. Nice to see you, Muffin. So good to see you. Bah, bah, bah. Oh man, everything relies on satellites. I didn't think they were so important until now. Yeah, everything. Lots of things rely on satellites. And that's just one satellite constellation that I'm mentioning. Spoiler, there's a bunch of satellites up in the sky right now that help pertain to everyday life. But again, GPS is just one mission. GPS is just one freaking constellation. If GPS was gone for a day, the estimated like destruction and total cost of damages would be like in the billions. It would be that bad because everyone relies on GPS. Billions of people rely on GPS. And if it was gone, well, you're screwed, because it's one of the most accurate in terms of like timing and stuff like that. So you would be screwed. Ba, 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 ba. These are all good questions. You guys ask good questions. What space mission do you wish you could have worked on? I don't know if there's any sort of space mission specifically that I wish I could have worked on, quote unquote. I would say, what space mission would I want to work on? Honestly, I would say any of the space telescope missions would be super cool to look at, because a lot of the like exploration and stuff like that, like those kinds of telescopes, like I do not know a lot about, admittedly. Like the nature of telescopes and stuff like that is not my specificity. A lot of the stuff that I know is more in terms of like how does the satellite work and stuff like that, or like how do you do orbital mechanics. Like that's the big stuff that I know how to do. But anything else in terms of like telescopes, like I don't really know a lot about. I feel like that would be super cool to get into. Pretty sure you have one hell of a kick if you were to take a trip to Alma Observatory. We have here in the north of Chile. Ooh, yeah, that would be awesome. That I would absolutely go feral. That would be so cool. Yo, what's up, my astronaut queen? Hi Minecraft. Hi Minecraft. How's it going? Would you like me to call you just Minecraft or Minecraft the Hellhound? Either way, I could do either way. Either way, it's so good to see you. I'm yapping a little bit about myself in this Q&A. Feel free to do gifted subbies because they're 35% off, and this is the last time that you can subscribe for this cheap. Next. What is one space fact that you think everyone should know? I already kind of yapped about it, but I think, in my opinion, if I could control it, I think more people should know that space is an aspect in everyday life. And that could be a lot of different things. But in my opinion, a lot of people don't realize that space is in everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. If we had like no space or like satellite activity or anything, we would be fucked. We would be so screwed. And everything, I feel like, would be so much cooler if people just knew how important space was. And I wish space would be more taught readily in schools, in my opinion. Even if it's like a simple, like in my I actually had like a high school that taught astronomy. Like that, and I thought that was really cool. Because in that class, it kind of just gave people the opportunity to learn a little bit. Not just about, like, how, like, obviously, like, about constellations and shit, right? Like, yeah, like, that's cool and all. But it also gave a lot of context into how space is used every day. That everyone uses space in some form or fashion, in one way or another. In my opinion, I feel like people should be taught more often that space is everywhere. And I feel like everyone should know that. Hellhound is fine, or you can just call me mine. Okay, I can do Hellhound. I can do that. Thank you. Next question. What is something about space that Hollywood gets wrong? Ooh. So, I don't know. The answer, everything. Yeah, the answer is a lot. If this would be a really long question if I were to answer this. I feel like Hollywood either like dumbs down the science behind a lot of how this stuff works, or either either dumbs down or simplifies all the science of how everything works for the sake of simplicity, which isn't a bad thing. Like that isn't bad per se. I feel like a lot of people I feel like the average Joe is not gonna care about all of the science that goes behind into all of these space stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, that's definitely true. But even then, like a lot of these sorts of Hollywood movies and films do not like go in depth into the explanation of how all this stuff works. And I feel like that sucks. I feel like even if you again, I think one of my inspirations is Neil deGrasse Tyson. He made a show called Cosmos, which I would watch with my dad, and it would help me fall asleep like at 2 a.m. or some shit when I was super young. And even then, like those kinds of even then, like he is able to simplify stuff into a fashion that makes sense into something that people can understand, while also not dumbing down the science, but also being able to describe it for the average person to understand, which is good. Hollywood, in my opinion, doesn't do either of those two things. I feel like Hollywood doesn't either doesn't go in depth with the knowledge that it probably should into everything with space stuff, or it just completely misses the point, or it just completely gets shit wrong, which I think sucks. Are you going to 50 or 100? Oh, we're going all the way, baby. We're going all doing all the questions. What do you think of Project Hail Mary? Well, I loved Project Hail Mary, even despite the couple little gripes that I had. I think Andy Weir, which is the dude that actually wrote the book, so the dude who actually wrote the book explained a lot of the science that actually goes behind how all of this works. In the movie, you do not hear all of that. In the movie, you do not see all of the explanations for how Project Hail Mary, like, does all of its stuff. And I think that part kind of stinks. I feel like in Project Hail Mary, they did not go into, like, whenever Andy Weir, like, explains, like, how all the science works. And I think that sucks. Even then, I still really enjoyed the movie. Like, I think the relationship between the main character and Rocky is still super cute, and I still love it. So I think that sort of depiction was still really cool. And even then, it's still really I still really enjoyed it, despite all of that, despite the shortcomings. It's not space stuff, sadly. It's also dino stuff. Like, they don't get the animals right at all. Yeah, I feel like Hollywood doesn't do their research. I mean, like, did we discover what a dinosaur even sounds like? I think we did, technically. Didn't we discover, like, how, like, a T-Rex's vocal cords are or something? And actually tried our best to replicate what the sound would actually be like, and it's very different than how Hollywood depicts it. It was something like that. Don't quote me on that. A lot of my knowledge on, like, dinosaurs and stuff like that is very minimal. But even then, like, it's yes, it's creepy and scary. Yeah. Like, again, how is Hollywood supposed to know that? Fair enough. We didn't really figure that out until relatively, like, I think Jurassic Park came first before scientists figured out how a dinosaur actually sounds. But don't quote me on that. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. But even then, I would say it's a lot more frightening than how, like, Jurassic Park or something depicts it. It said that it's more guttural than what Jurassic Park is. Yeah, at least if I were to guess. But in my opinion, I feel like Hollywood just, again, doesn't really do their research, which I think kind of sucks. Or they just flat out don't explain anything. And I think that sucks. What space career would you want besides being an astronaut? Okay, well, just besides being an astronaut. How to add that, okay, I see you. Let's see. Again, I said what mission I would want to do, which is, like, space telescopes and stuff like that. I would say, like, that would be, like, the technical, like, career, quote unquote. Just because I feel like over the years, we keep producing better and better technology over time for discovering new stuff. And every time we discover or, like, build a new telescope that's able to see more, we also happen to see, obviously, more in space. And in turn, learn more about space. So I feel like that would be my final answer in terms of that. Just, like, learning, I would probably want to do something like that. Because then that contributes to learning about space in general and learning new stuff and going more in depth with, like, the knowledge and stuff like that. Because we find out new shit about space every day. And it's really cool. So, would you have a pet Rocky or nah? Yeah, I would love a pet Rocky. I would probably do what Grace have done and probably do something similar where in order to learn the language, just, like, go through the different sounds and then like, use those sounds as different words. I would probably have to do something like what Grace did whenever he was trying to learn the language with Rocky. But I would totally be down for that as long as I figure that part out. Next question. Yes, 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 yes. Take me to space. Take me to space right now. Right now. In chat. Give me money to go to space. Yes, I would love to go to space. I would love to go to space. And again, if someone were to tell me, hey, Aria, you gotta go to space right now, the answer would be yes. Would you stream in space for us? I don't know if I get, like, the interwebs. I have to keep the interwebs on me in order to stream it. And I would have to, like, stream it from, like, either from, like, my forehead or, like, one of those, like, bodysuits where it's, like, strapped around your torso, so you guys don't see my face or anything. But even then, I would totally do that. Would you want to live on a rocky planet or Earth? Well, Rocky's planet in Project Hail Mary is super dark. It is basic, like, they don't have eyes or anything. Like, they don't quote-unquote see. So I would say Earth. But I would still want to go to space. Space would be so cool. Say less. What space technology... Ooh, this is a good one. Long periods of time. I feel like that is going to change some things as well. In terms of, like, how we treat, like, general stuff, right? Because once we're able to put humans in space for long periods of time and it's like not a problem anymore, then we're gonna get so many more advancements and stuff like that in general. That would be so cool. I feel like that will also give us more wiggle room and more opportunities to develop and produce more stuff in space. That would be super cool. Even still, that's in the future though. I feel like we are still not at that point yet of like keeping humans in space. Don't get me wrong, the International Space Station is still right there, but I feel like I'm talking more in terms of like almost permanent residency, almost almost perfect residency, and permanent is the word I mean. But again, that's more so way in the future. That's gonna take forever because there's still so much like time and money and like stuff like that in order to actually keep humans in space for a long period of time. That it takes a lot. We're still at type 0 civilization. Exactly. Like whenever people start talking about like the rings like around Earth for like to produce energy and shit, like we're not there yet. We're not that advanced of a civilization yet. Like we still have yet to put humans on Mars, which is what I would say Elon is primary objective is. In my opinion, I feel like Venus would be more interesting and more cool to if we discovered more stuff in Venus instead of Mars, but that's just my opinion. You can check out my stream with Super Kim whenever we yapped about like space probes and stuff like that to learn more about why, in my opinion, that Venus is cooler than Mars. But I'm gonna hydrate real quick. But yeah, I feel like we'll get there. By reaching civilization type 1, I think the rest goes by pretty fast. Yeah. Again, once we make more advancements in terms of like putting humans up in space and it's like more easier for us to do that, then well, then what's the limit then at that point? You know what I mean? What do you think humanity's next big space achievement will be? I mean, at some point, Elon is gonna try to put humans on Mars. I feel like that's coming up at some point. It's gonna take him a little bit because he's trying his darndest to get that to actually be produced and stuff like that. Let's see, we had the Artemis 2 mission recently where a bunch of humans went around the moon. Like we did that. Like that was really, really cool. We did that relatively recently. Whenever we're able to do more space missions and it's more common, I feel like that would be really cool. But I feel like in terms of like chronologically speaking, I think when it next technically quote unquote be Elon, I'm pretty sure that might be the next one. We do gotta give it to him. Dude's really focused on going to Mars for real. Yeah, bro is motivated. Kudos to him. Kudos to him for being so motivated to go to Mars. In my opinion, again, I think Venus would be more cooler to go to. Well, we'll see. Elon is looking closer to Bankrupt than Mars. In my opinion, agreed, Crimson Gray. But it's definitely something that is technically next. Technically. But if there is any other cool space missions that are coming out that you think that are gonna be before Elon, then feel free to educate me. And I will definitely do some of my research. But as of right now, I'm pretty sure that's the next quote-unquote big thing that most people know about, for the most part. Why are you so interested in space? So, as I said before, space is in a whole bunch of different things. And I feel like that's why I like space so much. I feel like space, in my opinion, is the next point of going to human achievement, in my humble opinion. I feel like the next stage in like doing cool stuff as a society and humanity is space. I feel like that is the future. That is my opinion. And when I feel like every time like we learn more about space, we do more cool shit. And, like that's awesome. I love learning about space, and we learn so much new stuff every day. And whenever we inevitably get branch out and learn more about how space works and stuff like that, well, more cool stuff will happen. You know what I mean? We'll see. We'll see. Venus might be fruititious, but you gotta deal with very scorching temps. Mars is just a lot more manageable. Yeah. In my opinion, once we figure out the whole like scorching temperature and acid rain issue with Venus, then well, in my opinion, I feel like we're gonna learn a little bit more about how Venus works, and I feel like we would learn more about how space works in general if we go to Venus. Like you said, Mars is more manageable, which is why we're doing Mars first. But still, that is just my opinion. And in my opinion, like, I mean, me and Kim talk about this. There are so many, like, Mars missions that we send so much stuff to Mars already. There are so many space probes and stuff like that that we have sent to Mars that we have learned about, like, how Mars, relatively speaking, works. Like, we did that already. And the fact that we're going to Mars, in my opinion, like, I feel like we could like go somewhere else. I feel like once we figure out the whole Venus problem, then I feel like we could learn a lot more about Venus than Mars. But that's just my opinion. If you could visit one planet, which one? Ooh, I would love to go see Saturn. I obviously can't like, you can't put my 2 feet on Saturn, but I would still like to like go look at Saturn. That would be cool. But then again, I am biased. Saturn has rings, which is cool. I know Neptune has rings too, but still. Favorite planet? Saturn. Next question. Favorite constellation? Well, Altair is a part of the Aquila constellation, which is an eagle. So I feel like I have to say that. I feel like that would be my favorite constellation. I feel like just in terms of like the nature of who I am as a VTuber, that would have to be my favorite. I think we should colonize the moon. It's literally right there, and I saw a video essay about it once. It's literally the easiest to colonize. Yeah, I mean, like, we've been to the moon, so that would be easy. And once we establish some sort of colonization on, I would argue, any planet, I feel like that would be a lot in terms of, like, achievement and, like, advancing humanity as a whole. But whether or not if that would happen anytime soon is a bigger question. That's gonna be so difficult. Hi, Login, so good to see you. I mean, you could go in Saturn, you just die, right? Yeah, pretty much, Green Onion. Next question. Favorite NASA mission? Go see my tier list video with Super Kim, and you would know. Shameless plug. Moon or Mars? I like the moon more. I think don't get me wrong, we send a lot of, like, probes and stuff like that to Mars and stuff like that. I feel like the moon's cooler. I think the moon's cooler, and it's closer. And like you guys said, I think the moon, it would be so much cooler in terms of potential and, like, stuff like that. I feel like that would be cool. Would you like me to do the next for you? I don't think you have the perms in order to do that, Cloudy. It's no worries, I can do next. I literally just copy paste next and then I just paste it. It's no worries. Do you believe there's intelligent alien life? Ooh. Ooh. So, short answer, no. Do I believe there's alien life? Yes. Intelligent? No. So, I do believe that there are at least, like, some sort of microbes or something in space. We just haven't found them yet. Like, there have been plenty of times whenever we would find, like, a comet or something, or we find a planet or something like that, and we discover that there's water, which is a big instrument for life. In my opinion, I feel like there is probably, like, some sort of microbe out there that is, like, there you go, there's alien life right there. It's just a microbe. But intelligent alien life? I don't know. Like, I think that's even rarer to say. Like, that would be like, you have to realize how hard it is that intelligent alien life is. Like, how I explain this, right? Do you realize how crazy it is that humans, like, exist? For the record, Earth being at the perfect, like, the perfect, like, Goldilocks zone to host life, that's kind of rare in and of itself. And whenever humans, like, developed and shit, that was also very rare. So, you would have to ask for, like, so many different improbabilities to happen at once. Like, and besides, like, we haven't discovered any sort of intelligent alien life, at least not yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, people say we have UFOs and shit, but we have no idea if any of those are real. So, jokes on chat, my brain cells count as intelligent life. Let's go, short. Let's go. The habitable zone is what you mean? Yeah. And even stuff like that, like, you have to realize that even life on Earth and stuff like that was also, like, a really hard thing to happen at once. And, like, that was, and whenever, like, animals, humans, stuff like that, whenever all of us started, like, developing and stuff like that, you were asking, like, millions of years of growing and adapting and mutations and stuff like that to happen until we got to here. You know what I mean? But then again, I know more about space in general. I do not know more anything about like that. This is like a very wild thing for to happen. Is my point. There's a lot of probabilities here, statistically speaking. So in my opinion, no, unintelligent. But I do believe that there are probably like some sort of like microbial alien life out there that we just haven't discovered yet. I do believe that. I feel like that's more probable. What's the coolest thing you learn about astronomy? Let's see. In my opinion, I think one of the coolest things that I've learned is general, like, obviously, like, whenever we learned about how, like, like, space works and stuff like that, even in the old world and stuff like that, like, before GPS was a thing, like, people for direction would use the stars and stuff like that in order to navigate. So there's really cool, like, stories out there if you, like, go read about it and go look at it, is stories of people who were lost or something, like, for example, like ships that were lost out at sea or something, and they would use like star charts or stuff like that and use like the sky in order to navigate, in order to locate and go somewhere. Like, that's really cool. Like, I feel like learning about stuff like that is super cool. The pillars of creation, yeah, that's another good one. Space pictures are freaking awesome. If you haven't looked at space pictures, that would be, ooh, that's another good stream idea. Man, I'm getting so many good stream ideas from this is great. Either way, that would be another thing that I could probably yap about when we could talk about like space pictures. But yeah, there's a lot of cool shit out there. You just gotta go looking for it. If you could witness one event in space safely, what would it be? Black hole. Next question. If I could witness a black hole, like, just safely, which would be impossible, like, that would be easy. The creation of a black hole, yeah, exactly. If I could witness that in space and be safe about it, that would be so cool. Space, long, no shot. Easy. Next question. Don't get me wrong, the ocean's super cool, but it's just not for me. I just feel like all the ocean stuff is like terrifying to me, and I find a lot more interest in space than the ocean. If aliens abducted you, what would they most be confused about? I would probably not be scared. If aliens like kidnapped me and I would just be chilling and like talking to them normally, they would be so confused that I'm just like yapping to them and like as if they're like, this is like a normal everyday conversation. They would be so confused. But that would probably be what they would be confused about, because I would just talk to them and I would ask like 20 billion questions about them. Let's see. Oh, what's the other really fast spinning star? I forgot the name. I think it's called a pulsar. Freaking, I don't have it off the top of my head, but yeah, that would be super cool too. Next question. Oh, okay, perfect. I think that's it for the STEM section. Now we're at gaming. This one should go by a little bit quicker than all the other sections, but either way, gamers here. Should I be a pro gamer? Yeah, I'll be a pro gamer. All right, gaming questions. Favorite game of all time? Easy. So, Skyrim is one of my favorite games of all time. I will die on this hill. Whenever I discovered Skyrim, like, I still play Skyrim, and I'm still finding out new shit to this day. And whenever I did Skyrim speedruns, that was like the whole point. Like, I did so much cool stuff with it. Bugs and all. Like, I will die on this hill. But I would say, like, that would be like my favorite game of all time. Parthenax is the GOAT. Bro, I quoted Parthenax the other day, and the other person understood what I did, what I was referencing. If you killed him, I'm rioting. Yeah, I would riot too. Believe me. Parthenax is my GOAT. But Skyrim, in my opinion, is the best game of all time, and I will die on this hill, bugs and all. Favorite Nintendo game? So whenever I first did had like a DSi back in the day, the first game that I ever played was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Darkness. That is my favorite Nintendo game. That game made me cry. That game made me freaking cry. And I still love that game. It is still so good. And with this was whenever I did Mystery Dungeon, right? Like, that's not like one of the mainline story games, right? Like, I think after that, it was either before or after that, I did Pokemon Black and White and stuff like that. And whenever I did Mystery Dungeon, well, I think that's one of my favorite Nintendo games. At least with the DS, because I had whenever I was growing up, I had a DS, then a DSi, then a 3DS, and then nowadays now a Switch. So that's my old school answer. So favorite Pokemon, Mewtwo. Mewtwo is my favorite Pokemon. When I remember watching like Pokemon the first movie, and he had so much backstory and lore and stuff like that. This was back before power creep, and whenever Mewtwo was still considered like the strongest Pokemon and stuff like that. Mewtwo is still so cool. Mewtwo is such an awesome Pokemon, and I will die on this hill. And I feel like Mewtwo deserves more recognition. Don't get me wrong, Mewtwo still has like a lot of love. He still has 2 Mega Evolutions after all. Mewtwo, and there's only like 2 Pokemon that have like 2 Mega Evolutions, and it's Mewtwo and Charizard. And so that means Pokemon companies still have to like Mewtwo, at least in some sense. But even then, like, I still think Mewtwo, at least especially in like competitive Pokemon, sucks. Mewtwo in competitive Pokemon kind of sucks, and I'm really mad about it. So if Mewtwo was better, like, that would be cool. But either way, that's my GOAT. He is so cool. How do you like Deoxys? Deoxys is my second favorite. Deoxys is my second favorite Pokemon. Deoxys is so freaking cool. I love that it has different forms and stuff like that. I think my favorite Deoxys form is Attack form. And then I think my least favorite Deoxys form would be its Defense form. And strangely enough, I would say my third favorite, like, legendary Pokemon would be Rayquaza. And if anyone remembers, like, the Deoxys and Rayquaza movie, like, those two freaking hate each other. Those two, like, fight, like, all the time. And both of them are, like, my favorites. So, like, all 3 of my favorite Pokemon would probably canonically hate each other. So, oh, I did next twice. Whoopsies. Favorite Pokemon generation. Ooh. So, I would say, I have an unpopular opinion. So, I started off with technically Gen 5, but I would say Gen 4 would be one of my favorites. I think Gen 4 is the best one. That would be, in my opinion, the best Pokemon generation, even though I technically started with Gen 5. So, hello, ARIA Astronomer. How's it going, Loki? So good to see you. We are on my second to last day of my subathon, so any gifted subbies and stuff like that is appreciated. I'm doing my Q&A session right now, so I'm doing a lot of yapping. So if that's more your speed, then definitely stick around. First video game you ever played? Let's see. It wasn't Skyrim. It would technically be Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or Pokemon Black and White. That would be the technical answer. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think one of those would be technically the first video games I've ever played. Cause even then, like, I never did. I think that's probably either of those two are probably the first. Yeah, cause I'm even trying to think back to, like, even like arcade games. Like, I didn't like cause the first game, quote unquote, that I ever really played at an arcade was like It's called like skee ball. Whenever you take the ball and then you like roll it and then it goes into the little holes and then you get points. Like that's not a video game, but that's just like one of my favorite arcade games. So I would say my first video game that I ever played would either be Mystery Dungeon or Pokemon Black and White. Favorite multiplayer game? Ooh. So, technically speaking, like, my favorite multiplayer game would be, I've been playing a lot of Peak recently. I would say that would probably be the easy answer there. Because I just play Peak with anybody that anybody knew. You guys know that I used to play, like, a whole bunch of friend swap games. And I really like all of those. Like, I will die on this hill. Like, I played a lot of friend swap games that I have, like, had a lot of fun with. Whether it be Repo or Peak and stuff like that. And yeah, I tend to have a lot of fun with those games. I try my best to not do those games as much anymore because in my opinion, I feel like the friend swap genre is very saturated. I want to do other games. So that's why I'm going to branch out and do new stuff. Favorite horror game? Do I have a favorite horror game? I'm trying to think I can answer this one. So, my favorite horror game in terms of, like, not the game itself, mind you, is, it would technically be SCP, just because I like all of the, creative aspect that goes into it. As a game itself, I played SCP Containment Breach, and I had a hell of an experience playing it, because it was, like, there were so many times when I would get soft-locked and shit like that. But I think I like SCP so much just because of the community aspect of it. With SCP, there's like writers and artists, and people are making like short films and stuff like that. Like, that's so cool. I love seeing stuff like that. Nightmare House 2 is Subnautica considered horror or terror? I would say Subnautica would be considered a horror game sometimes. Do you know how many times I would be like in Subnautica? Like, especially like probably tomorrow, where I'm gonna be with Emmy, and we both see like a huge squid creature out in the distance, and we're both like, wow, that thing could kill us in like one bite. We're fucked. Like, I would say Subnautica would be considered horror, but I would feel like SCP would technically be my answer here. I love SCP. I've been in it for years. What's your favorite? I have a favorite, but I'm not telling you its name. Let's see. It's called the Not Deer. So the explanation for that SCP is like kind of like a skinwalker situation where all of the deer that have like chronic wasting disease are actually like skinwalkers, and they're actually intelligent, and they're like stealing shit, and they're like messing around and stuff. I feel like that one was my favorite because that SCP entry, like reading that article, was chilling. The author did a great job at explaining the lore and building tension and stuff like that. So that's probably my favorite SCP. Isn't there a game about that now? Probably. Let's be real, chronic wasting disease as like within deer is horrifying enough. There's probably a game about that, or skinwalkers and stuff like that. Probably. Oh, I don't remember if I answered the previous question. Hold up. Did I answer the previous question? I forgot. Hold up. I can go back. There we go. Yeah, I didn't answer this one. Let's see. Game you replayed the most? Technically Skyrim. Technically Skyrim by default. Just because I did so many speed runs and so many so much time that I would go back and play it, that would technically be the answer for that one. So, there we go. Bam. Game that made you cry. Okay, besides Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, because I've been giving that as an answer very frequently. Recently, or not relatively recently, but I played a game where I was like a little corgi whenever I did my chibi chibi model. And in that game, I was a dead dog trying to find its owner. That game made me cry. It was very good. And I think it was one of the first games that the game company or studio or game devs have ever made. It was so good. It made me cry. And that game was awesome. Uh, I'm trying to remember what it was called. Hold up. There was that one dog game too. Yeah, that you and I are thinking of the same game, Cloudy. I'm trying to remember of what it was called. Oh my god, what was it called? Hold up, I'll go back. Let me go back in time. I'll look at my. Here we go. It was called My Little Puppy. That game made me cry because we were like a little corgi or Shiba Inu, and we were dead, and then we just wanted to find our owner. That game made me cry. It was so sad, but it was still a very good game. Game you think is underrated? Ooh, underrated games. So, underrated games. I don't know if I think any game is underrated. Huh. I don't know. I don't think I have an answer to this one. I think I played like a lot of like indie games that are like very much like games that I think deserve like more like recognition and stuff like that. I think a good answer to this is I played a game called Duck Side of the Moon with my good friend Poco. She's having her 2.0 like model debut here shortly. But either way, I played that space game where you are a duck in space, and that game was awesome. I think that game is pretty underrated. I would say that would be my answer for that one. Game you think is overrated? Ooh, okay. So, hmm. This one's hard. So, I feel like, and now this is gonna be controversial, but I feel like even like a lot of these friend swap games are like get so much traction and stuff like that just because it is a friend swap game. This could be any sort of friend swap game, by the way. This is all encompassing. In my opinion, I feel like a lot of those game genres are very oversaturated, especially if you like stream them, because I feel like everyone and their mom is gonna be doing a lot of those streams as well. So I think it does benefit whenever you do play games that are outside of the French Slav genre. So while that is a unpopular answer, I feel like that would be my answer, unfortunately. Dream game to stream. I would love to stream Doom Eternal at some point. I have no idea if my PC can handle it, but if it can, I'm gonna freaking do it. I want to try it at some point because I think I optimize a lot of stuff on my computer so that way everything looks great and everything is modified properly so that way we're good. But that would be, I would love to stream Doom Eternal at some point. That would be so cool. Oh, okay. Now we're officially at the art section, and now I can yap a little bit about art and stuff like that. This one is just kind of also all encompassing as well. So this will be super cool. Here we go. When did you start drawing? I mean, technically, after I was born. My mom tells me this story where the first thing that we did whenever we got back from the hospital was I got like a paper and like a crayon, and I immediately started drawing. I started drawing immediately by technicality. I started thinking about drawing doing like drawing like actively. I would say around like 6 or 7 years old. I would say that's whenever I officially got started with doing art and stuff like that. Like I was always like the art kid at that point in time, and I was very young. And that one was super fun. And whenever I was very much like a little art kid doing my own thing. So, technical answer, literally after I was born. Real answer, probably around the age of 7. Hey Aria, I'm back. Or am I here? Whatever. How's stream been? Hi, so good to see you. Stream's been going good. I'm just kind of yapping a lot. I'm not used to yapping this much. It's been a little over 2 hours and I'm still been yapping this long. You guys must be getting fed today in terms of content. You guys are gonna get used to hearing my voice. I'm trying to make sure I hydrate very frequently so that way I don't lose my voice here. Lots of lore? Yeah, lots of lore about myself. I promised you guys that you guys would learn a lot about me today. Favorite thing to draw? I do a lot of like character studies and stuff like that in terms whenever I do a lot of drawing. Am I good at it? Kinda. I feel like I could be better. But in terms of like my favorite things to draw, I try my best to obviously like I do a lot of like drawing space stuff, obviously, not surprising. But I also like draw a lot of like character designs and stuff like that. I think that's super cool. I like to do that a lot. Um, in my opinion, like one of my favorite parts is coloring. I feel like I have very strong like color choices. I showed you guys my old artwork, at least my traditional stuff, and I feel like my coloring has always been really strong. So, so much lore. We're gonna make a Google Docie. Make a Google Docie. I didn't do anything bad. I'm just yapping about my life. But I would say like that would be those would be the things that I like to draw. Traditional or digital art. So I am more proficient at digital art, but I am doing a lot more traditional stuff as of lately. So that was probably the closest. Yeah. I would say like I've been doing a lot of traditional artwork lately, and I've been admittedly stepping away from digital stuff just because I just don't have the time. And at least with like traditional artwork, right? Like I showed you guys like my big sketchbook with all like my markers and stuff like that with all my color drawings. And then I have a sketchbook with just all of like my pencil sketches and stuff like that. And with my pencil sketchbook and stuff like that, like it is a very small sketchbook. It is like 8 by 6 inches. Like it's very small. And that was by design. I wanted a small sketchbook so that way I can carry it around with me and stuff. So that was the reason why I got like a little like mini sketchbook, just so that way I can at least draw more frequently. So, what's the hardest thing to draw? Ooh. I would say hands and like shoes, or like hands and feet. Those are like the two hardest things for me to draw, at least as of late. Whenever I'm doing like any sort of drawing with like perspective and stuff like that, with like drawing like a room or something, that's super hard for me as well. Just because I haven't really like had to worry about drawing rooms or stuff like that. Like I never really had to worry about like perspective and stuff. When it comes to studying perspective in and drawing like a 3D room and stuff like that, like I can like do a study, quote unquote, of like how a 3D room looks like, but actually like applying it and drawing a 3D room in practice, like I can't do that. So, very hard. Ooh, Pop Reader said shading. So, in one of my best things that to recommend whenever it comes to shading is to study how light works. If you look at Pinterest, Pinterest is a great example. You can find a lot of like shading studies and stuff like that for how lighting and shading looks like. And one thing that I did in terms of like whenever it came to like emphasizing shadows and stuff like that is emphasizing line weight with your line art and stuff like that. Also, it gives you the ability to emphasize like shadows and stuff like that. That's my at least my best advice. For me, lighting and shading are such a pain in the ass. Once you learn light and shadow properties, it's horrible. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it takes a while to learn, but once you get used to it, I promise it's not as bad of a beast. I promise there's way bigger fish that are way more harder, but I can definitely see the pain. But I highly recommend doing like little studies of how shadow interacts and stuff like that. Any artists that inspire you? A bunch of artists inspire me. So there is a whole bunch. Oh my goodness. So one artist that I really like is Natyrix or Natyrix. I know they go by Nay on YouTube, and they do incredible work. They can do anything, in my humble opinion. They have done everything from like really complex like mecha robot designs to really cool like backgrounds and really cool like background scenes and stuff like that. I believe they can do anything. It would be a dream to commission them, but I don't think their commissions are going to be open ever. But their artwork is absolutely freaking incredible. Mind-blowing stuff. Natyrix is one of my favorites. there's a whole bunch of VTuber artists that I follow on VGen, and I'm obviously inspired by a lot of their works as well. Ray Buthin, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Either way, she is a mom, right? And I commissioned her relatively recently, and she is very inspiring too. Like all of her work, she mainly draws like sexy ladies and stuff like that, but her style is so striking, incredible work. But if I had to talk about like so many artists that inspire me, we would be here forever. There's so many really cool artists out there, man. I would love to commission all of them. What's your favorite commission you received? Ooh. Hmm. Honestly, I love all of my commissions equally. I love all of my commissions. How could I pick one? Look, there's so many commissions over on that I commission people on VGen. On all honesty, I commissioned too many people. Either way, let's see. I guess my favorite commission for now that I received was technically from Yuzu, if Yuzu's still in chat. Yuzu and I have been working on the merch collection, and I received a bunch of merch artwork, and so far that's my favorite right now, just because it's gonna go on like t-shirts and standees and stuff like that. But you guys will just have to wait and see what I mean whenever the merch releases on Ubu Market here shortly. Do you sketch every day? So not every day. I do every other day. I at least try my best to sketch on a basis where if I try to at least draw something simple, even if it's only for like I only have like less than an hour to draw something or whip something up. And in my opinion, like obviously repetition is important. But I do think that if you do sketch or like try to draw every single day, you're inevitably going to be hit with burnout. Inevitably, that's for everything though, right? If you try your best to do something every single day, you are in like logistically speaking, right? You're just gonna be hit with burnout. But I highly recommend at least trying to do something every other day. So that way you can at least give your brain a break. You know what I mean? But that would be my best advice there. Dream art project. So this isn't really me drawing, but like more in general. I would love to do like a 3D model debut where I do a bunch of singing and like a concert of sort. That would be probably be the dream at some point. That would be so cool. Someday though. Someday. That day is not anytime soon though. What's one art tip that you learned recently? So there is a like website online. I'm trying my best to remember what it's called, but it basically gives you something like a pose, like a figure drawing, right? And you only have a minute to draw it, which means you don't have any like time to do any detailing and stuff like that. And you are only able to get out the basic shapes down and throw something down within less than like a minute long. And that site is so useful because it made me able to draw faster, because it made me think more realistically in terms of a whole piece rather than focusing all the tiny little details. So if you want to be better at drawing faster, I highly recommend trying to draw something, but you only have like 1 minute or like 5 minutes to draw it. You know what I mean? That would be like my best art tip. So that way you think more holistically and you think more about the whole piece rather than all the tiny details. Give an art tip that helped you. So I kind of already mentioned this one, but line weight. Line weight is whenever you draw a line is how thick it is. Generally speaking, whenever I showed you guys like all of my artwork, I have emphasized like the weight of the line is heavier under areas that have more shadow. Generally speaking, right? And it generally makes your line art look better, just in general. At least if you have like my sort of quite cartoony style, admittedly as well. So definitely another art tip as well. Another big one, just kind of in general, just study artists that inspire you. If there's a lot of artists that you really like, try your best to try to replicate their style. Not copy, mind you, but try your best to replicate it in your own style and try to see if you can make something similar. Because if you're able to make something similar and you're able to replicate what you like, you can apply that knowledge that you learned in your own like original work and stuff like that. Definitely learn, obviously, and you can go from there. Perfection is the enemy of joy. A lot of times good enough is all that's needed. Yeah. You can definitely, again, think more holistically, right? Try your best to learn multiple things at once rather than focusing on the tiny little things. Because don't get me wrong, focusing on the tiny little things is important, but if you're able to, again, think in big picture, not only will you be able to draw quicker, but you will also be able to evaluate whether or not like what areas you need to improve upon and stuff like that. That's at least my biggest advice that I have for that. Streaming and content creation. So this is kind of like alongside with the VTuber questions, but all of these should be pretty simple too. You guys will see what I mean. Let's freaking go. What's your streaming setup? So my streaming setup I actually have on my Twitch, like about me. You can go see all my specs and stuff like that over there if you are curious for what I do have. So I try my best to make all of the stuff that I have known. But even then, besides my specs, like I used to have like a really shitty mic at one point. Now I have a decent mic. The hand cam that I use is technically used for researching documents or like holding documents up to a camera and stuff like that. But I use it as a hand cam, like, cause hand cams can cost a bunch of money, or webcams, I mean. And I just have mine, which is like I got for like $40. That was just my hand cam. My iPhone, because I use VBridger and with my VTube Studio and with like my model and stuff like that for all this high quality and stuff like that. My iPhone I literally like got from like Facebook Marketplace because it was like $100. That's it. You can definitely find all of the super crazy tech that you want for cheaper, either or it's like secondhand. Like the iPhone that I got was literally used once. That's it. So, and it was like considered used because it was still used once. You know what I mean? So, you could definitely find like resources out there for like streaming setups and stuff like that. Bah. Favorite microphone. I don't really have like a microphone per se. Like the one that I have is a Shure M7, I believe. Like that's the one that I currently use. And it is an XLR microphone. So that means it has like it's not USB. So I don't know if I have a favorite microphone per se, but that's the one that I use. Favorite piece of equipment. Well, recently I just got a Stream Deck completely for free. Because Small Dreams, shout out to them, they gave it to me completely for free, and they got me a Steam Deck. And getting a Steam Deck has been absolutely life-changing, because now I can do things at a push of a button. And that's been super useful, both in terms of like VTubing and in terms of like, admittedly, with college. Because there's so many times that I did like I needed like boot up like all the websites and stuff like that I need for college and stuff like that. But now I can do it at a push of a button. Like, I can literally go into workies mode within, like, a button. So that's useful. So I would say, technically, the Stream Deck is my favorite piece of equipment as of right now. I'm gonna head to bed and take a shower. Probably don't care. Bye-bye. Oh, I do care. Have it. See you later. Hope you have a good time. See you later. Feel free to see the VOD over on YouTube whenever it's done cooking. Hi, Zach. So good to see you. I am just yapping a little bit. Welcome to my Q&A session. I am going to change the track. Let's see here. There we go. I want something a little bit more. Yeah, that's fun. All right. Let's keep going. Next. How do you avoid burnout? Do the things that you enjoy. Like this may seem like obvious, but whenever you build your schedule and stuff like that, be realistic and do things that you want to do. if you're gonna do a stream you're admittedly going to dread, then at least try your best to be able to schedule breaks and take like those self-care days whenever you can. There is a reason that I limit myself, or I tell myself I'm doing 3 streams per week, because if I that is my minimum. Like I will do at least 3 streams per week. But if I'm gonna be like busy like throughout the week, then 3 is the minimum, right? But then again, if I want to stream more days, then I can. Then I can stream like 4 or 5 times in a week, or fuck it, even the whole week if I'm like feeling really like really busy. But be realistic with yourself and still be able to give yourself those self-care days when needed, and do things that you do want to enjoy. Otherwise, if you're going to do things that you don't like, then you're just going to go right down the road to burnout. Here we go. Biggest lesson you learned as a creator. Ooh. So this is admittedly a question that I learned about life. Not everyone is going to like you. This is a hard lesson to learn. But not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to want to be your friend. And I think that sucks, but that is the truth. Not everyone is gonna want to, unfortunately, like, want to be friendly and stuff like that. There has been, I actually had, like, a bit of a horror story where I discovered that a content creator that originally wanted to work with me actually just flat out, like, admittedly just wanted to use me, unfortunately. It sucks. It really sucks. But that experience has made me realize that, like, not everybody that you meet is going to be nice. And I don't know, I feel like I'm very kind-hearted as a person, and I always assume the best in everyone. And unfortunately, like, that's not very common. I try my best to be, like, nice, and I always, like, yap to people that I genuinely want to be friends with, no matter what. I don't care about, like, what numbers you have or, like, what you do and stuff like that. I really don't care. I just want to have fun with people. And I think that's definitely shows with, like, the people I collab with, or, like, even then, I go gap with everybody. So, people who use others as stepping stones, oof. Yeah, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. Well, the thing is, I'm talking more so in terms of, like, it's been more of whenever people use others as stepping stones is more of and then have malicious intent as well. Like there have been like VTubers out there that thankfully I haven't had this sort of experience once or anything like that. But there are VTubers out there that genuinely just want to use others and then watch people burn. That has happened before. We have seen it before, and I think that sucks. But even then, I feel like the easy solution to that is to find people that you do click with. Find those people that you do want to hang out with and have, like, maintain those genuine friendships and stuff like that. So, it's a hard lesson to learn, but I feel like, to be real, that's admittedly a bit of a life lesson. There's not everybody in life is gonna want to be your friend, and I think that sucks, but it is the truth. The best thing you can do is just find people that you do genuinely want to be friends with and stuff like that. And find those people that do want to be friends with you and stuff like that. But do you ever compare yourself to other creators? Not really. Do I examine what other creators do and take inspiration or take ideas? Yes. But do I ever flat out compare myself to other creators? No. Because I think it would be an unfair comparison. Because all of the creators that if I were to quote unquote compare myself with, it would be like comparing apples to oranges. It would be like comparing someone who has been in the VTuber space for however many years when I haven't even been a VTuber for a full year. Like that wouldn't make sense. What I do instead is I look at what other VTubers do, and I get ideas, or I go, oh, I like the way that this VTuber, like, I don't know, like, does, like, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be like, oh, I like the way this YouTube video is structured, or, oh, I like how this VTuber, like, whenever they interact with their audience, they're able to do really well in terms of like yapping with their chat. It could be anything. Sorry, I'm hydrating. Either way, it really depends. And with everything, like I do not compare myself to other people. I feel like I do my own thing very frequently. And even when I do like look at other creators, I do it as an inspiration thing more so than a comparison thing, if that makes sense. I don't think you should, to be honest. It's kind of the same like artists say to others. I mean, yeah. Cause when terms of like whenever you do compare yourself to other creators, like you're just gonna like me feel I feel like whenever you compare yourself to other creators, you're just gonna feel small and insignificant by comparison. But you're gonna be comparing yourself to big creators who have done this before or have been in the industry for longer. And like I said, that's like comparing like apples to oranges. Like that would be so hard to do. So that would be like my answer to that, kind of. What do you think makes your content unique? Full stop, nothing. I think I don't have a set. It's not like I have a quote unquote niche or anything. Um, but then again, like even if I were to even water things all the way down, like for the record, astronaut VTubers do exist. They're very rare and few and far between, but I am definitely not the first astronaut VTuber, so like that's not unique. And I feel like that's not the point. I feel like the point of doing unique content is going to be very hard. I feel like lots of people do stuff, and depending on how lucky they are and how well produced they do something, then it gets popular. But as far as like uniqueness is involved, I haven't really seen any, like I don't do anything unique. You know what I mean? I feel like in terms of uniqueness, I feel like the best thing that I do is just improve. I do my own thing, and anything that I feel like could use improving, I do add improvements and stuff like that. I feel like that's what makes me unique though as a person, not really my content. I hope that makes sense. Even then, like I do want to produce more YouTube content and stuff like that, whether it be gaming or whatever. I'm still gonna produce more stuff later on. What's your content planning process? I don't know if I have much of a process per se. I more so pick games that I think would be entertaining in order to watch and for you guys to react to me playing, and that then I play the game. So even then, like in terms of like content planning, I try my best to post shorts very frequently. I try my best to post shorts at least, if not every day, then every other day. And even then, I have people who help manage some of my content as well, just to make sure that all of my shorts and stuff like that are posted. So I would say, like, content planning, quote unquote, like, I again just think of games that would be entertaining and fun for people to watch. And if it's not entertaining or fun to watch for me, then I would argue that you guys probably wouldn't watch it either. So, how many hours go into one stream? Depends on the stream. Like I have plenty of streams where I stream for 4 hours, or then I have streams where I stream for like 2. Sorry, I think I found a sticker on my chair and it really confused me. Either way, I think the longest I ever streamed was like almost 6 hours. Like that's insane. Like I know at a 6 hour long stream, like that's insane. So it really depends on the stream. How do you stay motivated? I do things that I like. I feel like whenever I try my best to find like video or think of a video that other people would like, I get motivated to make those projects and make those big money moves and make those ideas and make those things possible. And I feel like it also helps that I also have really good friends as well that to keep me motivated. Whenever you surround yourself with motivated people that are doing awesome things, it makes you want to do some awesome things too, right? So, hmm biggest content mistake you've made? Hmm. Biggest mistake? I don't think I. Ugh. I don't want to say I never did a mistake because that's not true. But I feel like all of the quote unquote mistakes that I've done, I feel like I've learned from them. I feel like the whole point is learning how from those mistakes and then you move on. So I don't really remember a lot of like the minor mistakes that I've made. If I could change anything, I feel like whatever I would make it so that way I had a good mic at the very beginning of my content creation, because having a shitty mic is a really bad thing. Like if you have a really shitty mic, then no one's probably going to stay around and listen. So that would be probably the biggest one. I think I got better over the years whenever I learned, and I eventually, or not years, but like months, that I got a better microphone and stuff like that. But that would be like my final answer. Advice for new VTubers: don't look at the numbers and have fun. And also, whenever you are planning to be a VTuber, debate and it like set a set amount of money in advance that you're willing to put into VTubing that you are never gonna see come back, because lots of people like spend like thousands of dollars on VTubing and then they don't see any of that money come back. So don't expect to go into VTubing to get famous and rich. I hope a lot of people don't think that. So that would be my biggest advice for new VTubers. What's something you wish you knew before starting? Honestly, perfection is a lie. I feel like whenever I got started, I was very much a perfectionist. Nowadays, I'm not. I feel like if I make mistakes or if there's scuff, then not to worry. As long as you learn from it and then think of ways to improve, then that's all that matters. Do numbers ever stress you out? Not really. Again, I'm doing my own thing. I kind of already answered this one too. But whenever it comes to numbers and stuff like that, like I try my best to never look at numbers. Don't get me wrong, I look at statistics and how I'm doing over time. Like I do look at that, but I don't look at every single YouTube short or every single like stream and look at how many viewers were there, or how many people liked, or how many people commented. I don't really do that. I do, however, see how I'm doing over time as a big number. Like I see how I'm doing per month, or how did the whole month turn out. Like that's what I do look at, because then I see if I'm improving or if I'm growing or if there's ever things I need to change. I don't really look at the numbers too much. I feel like that would honestly just be very confusing and just give me a big migraine. Either way, I don't look at the numbers. What's your proudest accomplishment? Being here. Being here is my biggest accomplishment. Seriously, I feel like a lot of people underestimate that the point of just starting at being a VTuber and then continuing it. Like I mentioned before, a lot of VTubers, like they start and then they don't like progress, or they stop after 6 months. Like that's very common, unfortunately. But I'm still here. Like I'm still kicking it, like I'm still here, like I'm doing really great and I'm having a lot of fun. And the fact that I'm even growing so much to begin with and you guys are showing me all the love in the world, like it is absolutely incredible. So bah. Community questions. Okay. I'm trying to remember what I made this section for. I think this is just like other just like general questions. Will there be a part 2 to finish the questionnaire? Yeah, there will be. I think this is actually a good place to stop, honestly. I feel like I already answered almost 100 questions. I might answer a couple more and then I'll go from there. Because I feel like the section is small. So we're already almost done. 3 hours? Yeah, it has been 3 hours. Let me answer these couple other sections. This is gonna be my last section, and then we'll go from there. You have answered almost 100? Yeah. At the literal have to? Yeah. I answered a whole bunch of questions. So I'm going to answer a few more within this section, and then I'll probably end things off. I think we're at a good stopping point after this section. Either way, this section in particular is just like community questions about like you guys in general and stuff like that. You guys will see what I mean. What's your favorite thing about the cadets? Honestly, I feel like VTubers and their community, like it's kind of like reflection, right? I feel like the community is a reflection on the VTuber itself. And in my opinion, I think I would hope I hope that I radiate good vibes and I genuinely try my best to spread positivity. That generally speaking, that it reflects in you guys too. And I think that's what makes you guys so awesome. I feel like a lot of you come from a lot of different backgrounds and ideas, and let's be real, a lot of you either have an interest in space or at least like to listen to me yap about space. So a lot of you are kind of nerds, admittedly, in that aspect too. And I think that's what makes this so fun, right? I feel like a lot of you are very fun to yap with and talk to, and I'm honestly so flattered that I see so many familiar faces every day. So that's probably some of my the favorite things about you guys, that you guys are so positive and kind. And I'm genuinely happy whenever new people arrive, because then you guys are very much a welcoming hand whenever people are introduced to me. So thank you all so much for being so kind. What's something the community doesn't know? I would say like I don't know. I would say I'm pretty transparent. Even though I very much keep my anonymity and stuff like that, I still try my best to be very transparent, and I'm still very much like, I don't know. I tell you guys pretty much everything, except the only thing that I don't tell too much is myself in general. Like, I mean, you guys know that I'm in the aerospace industry, but you guys don't know like the whole like story and stuff like that. But then again, that's on purpose. But that way I don't get doxxed, right? But even then, like I like to think that I'm very transparent, that I try my best to be like open and honest with you guys, and whenever I do stuff and then I tell you guys about it. I literally can't keep secrets with you guys. I literally tell you guys like all of the cool stuff I'm working on. So what stream are you most proud of? Honestly, probably the debut. I would say whenever I did my 2.0 debut, a lot of prep and effort and a lot of people came in order for it to be as cool as it was. So I would say that one was the one I was most proud of. What's something the community doesn't know? Time between the first Wright brothers flight and lunar landing is only 66 years. Yeah, but again, I like to think that I'm generally very transparent, so. Hydrating. Ba 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 ba. Bam. What stream idea are you most excited for? I would love to do karaoke streams at some point. That would be so cool. Would you guys tune into a karaoke stream if I did one? I feel like that would be super cool. At some point, I would love to do something like that. And I'm very excited to eventually do song covers and stuff like that. It would be very interesting to hear you sing. Yeah. Like, that would be so cool. I would love to do that. What kind of events do you want to do more of? I would love to do more, I would love to do more events where I yap to more space VTubers. I had an incredible time with Super Kim where we just talk about space stuff. I want to do more stuff like that. That was super cool. And I was able to flex a lot of my space knowledge and stuff like that. So I would love to do something like that where I yap more about space. That would be so cool. Okay. I think that was last in that section. I think this is a good place to stop. How many other questions do I have? Okay, I'm at 104 out of 94, so that means there's 90 questions left. So I could definitely do this next at a different section at another point in time. But I think that's a good place to stop. I demand chat is brought back from the dead. Here it is. Stop. Hammer time. There we go. I'm gonna hydrate real quick. There we go. I hope you guys had a good time of me just yapping. I yapped for over 3 hours. How could you guys handle that? How could you handle me just yapping this whole time? Either way, I hope you guys had an incredible time just hearing me yap. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing Subnautica and we're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna try my best to give you guys a raid, and we'll go from there. I don't have a lot to do for the outro, unfortunately. Other than, feel free to join the Discord. some of you guys are playing Minecraft. I might hop over there at some point. Maybe later on, like tonight, whenever I'm inevitably staying up at around midnight-ish. Either way, I hope you guys had an incredible time. And I'm gonna schedule a part 2 Electric Boogaloo for this Q&A session probably sometime next week. So that way we can finish up the Q&A section. Guess we're just used to women doing the yapping. Oh my goodness. Thanks for the stream. You guys are so sweet. I love you all so much. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all the good stuff. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about me. I hope this was still fun, even though it's just me yapping. Who we rating? I usually decide immediately after I go to the stream ending screen. So I can't answer that right now. We'll see if any of my friends are currently streaming. But if not, then I think I'll find a streamer that deserves some recognition. Either way, I love you all so much. Tomorrow we're going to be doing some Nautica with my good friend Emmy. And, well, hopefully we don't have to worry about any spooky squids or anything like that. And we'll go from there. I love you all. I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day or night, whatever time zone you're watching this on. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye!